like about 4 years ago.
So did you say you're 15 when you moved to the peninsula?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and growing up in the suburbs, like, it was a bit tough because there's so much shit to do up there. And then when you, like, move to... It's almost regional because there's nothing to do.
Yep.
There's, like, barely any public transport. It's all cafes because it's all where all the old geezers go to retire.
Yep.
And, there's, like, barely any pubs, barely any nightclubs, and there's nothing. So I moved back up here, which I'm a lot happier here because there's heaps more to do. Can go out. And I like being out here. A lot of people, like friends and family, they're saying like, "Oh, are you going to move to the city because you do heaps of gigs? You're there like most nights." Because I do like 4 to 6 gigs a week if I can. This week's a bit slow, but yeah, like it depends how much I'm booked. Sometimes I'll do more. Sometimes it's a slow week. Like just didn't. It's like most of the rooms. Like the way to do it, like if you're around for 3 months and then you go to those sign up ones and get seen a bit, and then you just kind of ask, get to know people, have a chat, and then when they see you're not like a regular, that you've been around a bit.
Yeah, okay, you're not just going to fuck off. Yep.
Yeah, and I think it's also they're going to see your material and then maybe have a chat and then see, because some of the guys, they'll come out and then they think they're Louis C.K. straight off. Yeah. And there's some of the rooms as well where they, it kind of sucks. Like, I'm not a fan of it. I like doing dark stuff.
Yeah, okay.
I like to push the limits.
Yeah.
And there's some people that aren't a fan of me.
Yeah, okay.
And some of the woke rooms, they're like,
Yeah, okay.
yeah. So then I just tailor my material for that room because I know. Because there's heaps of gigs in Brunswick.
Yeah,
so
okay. That would be a pretty woke area, surely.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So, Sellers is comparably not as woke.
No. That's pretty loose. Like, the only time... It's so fucked. I've seen someone... get banned from there was this Scottish bloke talking about how rape's illegal in all these countries. We're just listing all the countries rape's illegal for 5 minutes. And
for 5 minutes, that was the material.
Yeah, and then there was a pin drop, and that was the first night. Which, because I started, tomorrow is my 1 year of doing stand up.
Hey, congratulations!
Thank you. So yeah,
that's sick.
So yeah,
so that was it, but
year.
Like no punchlines. It just went up.
Yeah, and that was the night, and I remember Fergus Neal was emceeing. Yeah, and it was atrocious. Yeah. And that's because... And I've never seen anyone do it. And I've tried some risky shit, and it feels like you're in the International Space Station. There's been like an air puncture, and then just sucks the oxygen out of the room, and the whole audience is just...
Dude, I can only imagine.
Yeah. So.
Do you know where that comes from? the fear of like saying something risky on stage. Do you know where that comes from?
Like fear for the comedians or fear for the audience?
Fear for the comedians. I've heard it comes from anytime you were... So a fear of public speaking in general. This is just a theory, obviously.
Yeah.
I've heard it comes from in the past, like in the 13th century. If you were in front of people, it was not good. You were about to be like stoned to death. If you were in the town square and everyone was looking at you, that's not good. And people think you like pass your genetic memory on. Like that's what instinct is. Is like passed on. Like the reason we're scared of monsters under the bed is because fucking 6,000 years ago we were getting eaten by tigers.
Yeah, like
that's why we're scared of monsters.
And then shit's like sniffing around.
Yeah, so people reckon that's where like fear of public speaking comes from.
It's fascinating as well because like some people say it's all bullshit, and like there's this new, like I've noticed it's been in the past 5 years or so. People talk about generational trauma.
Yeah,
so say like people with like growing up with the war, or maybe someone that's like indigenous, or like say family people through like that maybe have a Jewish heritage who had families that survived the Holocaust, or maybe in other races where there have been horrible war or genocide that's happened in the past couple of years, like somewhere like Cambodia or even like Nanking in China or something like that. Like that it passes on, but people have only started catching on like that, and it's kind of fascinating because I'm trying to think of the term. There is a term, I can't remember it. It's
evolutionary,
where it's like the the strong survive basically. But it's because people that are idiots, they'll die, and then their genetics won't pass on because they're unfortunately the weaker ones. But it'll pass on the instinct to survive and go like, hey, it's not good. Doing that.
Yeah, I get you.
But I think there's the other side as well, because it's interesting as well for me, because like my grandpa, he was a pastor in a church.
Really?
Yeah, so he used to preach and stuff. And when I was a kid, I wanted to do that.
Yeah.
Wanted to do it.
Did you ever do it?
No. Okay. I haven't been to the church since I was 16.
Sure.
I don't believe that
Yep.
stuff anymore, which is that's cool.
I was gonna say, have you got like
Yeah.
a full like Sam Kinison background? Do you know about Sam Kinison?
He's the OG
He was
guy from the 60s or something, wasn't he?
He
Or-
was
No, I'm
80s,
thinking of someone
90s.
else. Oh yeah, he's a comedian.
Yeah,
who's,
yeah. And he was
yeah.
a preacher, and he got traumatic head injury, and then turned it off, and he's just like world-renowned comedian. So I was just curious if that was like your deal.
No. So, but like, yeah, I always saw that and wanted to do it, and I guess I wanted to be in front of people just talking, and then it's like a gift or something, I guess.
No, that's cool. That's really cool. How do you deal with, back to the fear thing, how do you deal with getting over that initial hump? So were you ever scared of like going up and telling a
the
joke?
first time I went in October in 2022.
Yeah.
And me and my mate were there. We didn't know the unwritten rules. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah. So we sat right up the front, and it was at Sellers. And I was going to go up, and I saw a few comedians that were doing really well, and I hadn't written anything down. I had it all up in my head, and I'm like, oh, these guys are a lot better than whatever I'm going to do. And the MC had to go at me and my mate because we weren't laughing, but it was because like we were both going to go up, and then we were just in our head just going over our set. We weren't like being dicks or anything.
Yeah.
And there was one joke because we like risky, dark stuff, and he had a joke about the Holocaust, and then he said the punchline, the Holocaust. I'm friends with this guy now, so it's all right. But and he turns and looks at us, and he's like, "Really? Holocaust? You laugh at nothing else but Holocaust." And then I kind of had a panic attack, and just like since the MC and the host was being like called us out and was a bit mean, I kind of freaked out. I was like, "Yeah, I can't do this, not tonight."
Yeah.
And then left, and then came back like 3 months later. Came back in Jan.
Yeah. Gee, that would have been intense getting up after that. Like,
the
stage
that's why
would have
I
been
was like, and
it
I
would
was
have felt
nah.
like you were, like the fucking stage was made of knives or something like that.
Yeah, and I was like, nah,
wouldn't be getting up there.
I'm not.
No. Poof. No,
Yeah,
that's
and
crazy.
it's just like people go in, they don't know the rules, and we just sat right up the front. Then
Yeah, whoops.
Yeah.
No, I made sure to stand right the fuck up the back before I went up at Sellers. I was not interested in that. No, so how did you get over that fear?
I just went, fuck it. Like I was petrified.
Yep.
And once you do it, it's easy. It's just that first time.
Just the first time, you reckon?
Yeah, and because it feels like an out of body experience, and
That's what I had.
yeah,
absolutely.
And it looks like you're watching yourself in third person.
Yeah.
And like I remember, it felt like. Because I would watch people's specials, and I would go like, "Oh yeah, I could talk shit for an hour. That's easy."
For sure.
And then I was up going like, "This feels like I'm up here for a lifetime." And I got off, and my mate had the video, and he was like, "Oh, that was 3.5 minutes." And I'm like,
Yep.
"What the fuck?"
Yep. That's mental.
Yeah, it's nuts, isn't it?
That's
So your
crazy.
time was like that?
Yeah, man. So I went up and I was expecting no laughs. I got up. I told like a little warm up joke, like a little St Kilda's bit feral joke.
Yeah.
And I got a chuckle, and then I forgot everything because I wasn't expecting anything. And then I got it, and I was like, "Fuck, I did it! Oh shit, what's next?" And I literally I had nothing after that, and I had to like turn around and like refer to my notes. And it was like a good 15 seconds of like nothing, and it was But I think to your point, so you reckon the first time is like hard work, and then the second time was like easy or hard-ish, or
it was just like, I can do it now. So
okay,
it's fine. And because like it's kind of that fear of failure, your fear of taking that step.
Yep.
And what led me to do it was either it would be my friends, or I'd be at the workplace with like my co-workers, and I'd be telling these like stories and stuff like that, or just telling jokes, and I would just have them, and I'd realize like at parties or something, I'd be with these 4 people standing around me, I could see them just totally invested in my story, and I'm like thinking like, I have them in the palm of my hand.
Yep.
If I can do that to another 4 or 5 people, and then like another 10, and then on top of that, and then keep it growing, I can do this.
Yep.
But it was just that first time just chicken out, and just like, because you don't want to be embarrassed in that fear of failure.
Yep.
But now, like, I do it like 4 to 6 times a week.
Yeah, that's sick. That's sick. Do you ever get any like minor butterflies?
When it's a new joke.
Yep.
Like, and there's rooms where it's like safe to do that because there's maybe not many people. Like Settlers is one. There's a couple others as well where, the way I explain it, like it feels like I'm throwing up.
Yep.
Like I have to throw up the joke, and I just go like, just get it out.
Wow.
Just like,
yeah,
and then it's like
right.
it's out. Now you can work on it.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
That's sick.
Yeah. So
Fuck. You said something, and I had a question. I had a follow-up question, and now I've forgotten it. Oh, that's gonna bug me too. No, it's a good question too.
Have you started?
Yeah.
I was gonna ask for like a timeout. Do you have like a tissue or something?
Yeah, absolutely.
I like hear myself like sniffling.
No, you're all good. We will. I actually don't have any tissues in here, but I'll grab some. You're all good. Don't stress.
Easy.
There you go.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I just trying to
you're
think
all
of
good.
like the listener just hearing like.
Yeah, no, you're all good.
So did that like stop record for a second then?
Yeah. So I'll just cut the end of it, and then we're live at the same time, by the way,
Well,
on
live
YouTube.
now.
Yeah.
Oh,
So if
true.
you wanted to go live on anywhere, you're more than welcome to do that as well. Or if you just want to hang out and enjoy yourself, you can just hang out and enjoy yourself.
Yeah, I'll probably just hang.
Yeah,
out.
man, for sure.
No, it's all good.
No, it's cool. Yeah, I still don't remember that question. Can't be that interested then. So you've been doing it for a year.
Yeah. So year tomorrow.
Fuck yeah, that's
So it's
cool.
pretty sick. So like it's been a pretty big year. Like I've met so many amazing people, and like it's the best thing I've ever done. So if anyone has a passion that they want to follow or their dream, and I've had people look me in the eye, and because like I was an idiot, like a lot of people are, and then because I don't know, it's like that insecurity, and you want that validation, and then you tell your friends or people, and I had people that weren't good for me in life. And I opened up and I was saying like, oh, I've always wanted to do this. And they went, oh, you're not funny. You couldn't do that.
Me too.
Yeah.
Man, fuck you.
yeah. And
Yeah.
like not like boasting now, but like, because with this as well, there's so much to it that people have no idea. And even when you dive in, it's so amazing. That's what I love about it, because it challenges me. It's a thing. And for so long, I had no idea what I wanted to do in life, or like I felt like I had this purpose or this thing inside me, and I'm like, oh, this like gets so much of that out of me. But after doing it, like I've done it, I can look at that person and go like, yeah, I've done this so far, and I'm only growing and getting better. Like I have done 2 solo shows now. So I did one for the Awkward Giraffe Festival, did 40 minutes, and then I just did another one, my solo show, Problem Child, did 50 minutes and sold 25 tickets.
That's sick. That's huge.
Yeah.
After a year too.
Yeah.
To have what does it take to build an hour?
Like
in 1 year as well.
A lot of it I was writing beforehand, because I've always wanted to do it, so I was writing a lot of stuff, and I found my style is more storytelling. So like just funny stories and stuff that's just happened in life, just wild. Well, not like super wild shit, but just like funny, crazy stuff that's happened along the way.
Yeah.
And like it's pretty funny. And I tell like normal people just at like pubs or like friends, and they're just laughing. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Just stuff like that. And and that's a lot of the stuff. And yeah, I'm just writing, like I try and get a couple jokes out a week or new stuff, and just work on it. And you got to go through and change it up and switch it up, because otherwise you get bored and you don't have that same heart in it. But yeah.
What were you like in school? Did you find yourself, were you attentive in school? Were you up the back of the classroom mucking around, always fucking around, or?
Fuck no, dude. I was always up the back.
Yeah.
Yeah. My, like, one of the jokes I have is, like, I know it's overdone, like everyone does it, but I was diagnosed with ADHD a couple of years ago by my therapist, and but the writing was on the wall all along, because I'm sure anyone else that had ADHD, it was the same report card every year, easily distracted and distracts others around them.
Yep.
Well, the teacher should have just said, your son's a fucking legend, and he just loves being around the boys.
Yeah.
Like,
100%.
it's, yeah, so, But like I was alright. Like I would just get enough to get by. Like I was always smart enough, and the teachers like I drove them nuts because I'd always like write something in that recess or lunchtime before and hand it in.
Yep.
Just get a C, and they're like, "I know you wrote this 45 minutes before it was due."
You getting
It's
C's?
Yeah.
Lucky.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I was always smart enough to like just get by.
Yeah, right.
And the teachers were like, if you actually applied yourself, you would be like top of the class. Can you just pull your finger out? And I'm like, nah, I like hanging out with my friends and talking to girls.
Yep.
So,
yeah. No, I get that. Were you good at writing? I always found myself good at two classes, English and art, like Viscom. Do you know what Viscom is?
Yeah. I used to do VCD.
Yep.
Yeah. I was pretty good at English.
Yep.
Like, I think it was like, because I'm dyslexic as well, like the spelling and punctuation and stuff wasn't the best.
Are you actually dyslexic, or do you just say you're dyslexic?
No, I 100% am.
Yeah.
So, like Robin Williams. Oh, I think someone else has a joke about it, and it's just like the shit I type into Google, and it's like, I think it's Jimmy Carr. Yeah, Jimmy Carr. He says like autocorrects, just like, like that's what happens with me.
Yep.
And I'll go like, oh, how's this word? And I'll Google it, and Google's like, no.
Yeah, right.
We can't help you here.
Yeah.
Like, that's what happens. So, it's pretty bad. And mine, like, I don't know what it is.
Do you get that on stage?
Yeah,
like,
it happens.
Do you literally like fuck your punchline?
Yeah, I've done it. I did it in Bendigo on Thursday. So it's either sometimes it's bad. Like, so it's either like I'm tired.
Yep.
Or I'm stressed.
Which on the road you're probably tired and stressed.
Yeah, and I was nervous in Bendigo because it was actually good because I hadn't had that for a little while. Because I sometimes get it when it's a new room and you haven't worked it out or whatever, or and I was kind of like in my head, I got that imposter syndrome in my head going, this is regional.
Yeah.
They might not like you. I did pretty well. So yeah, I was happy with that, but it's just you get in your head a bit, so there's a bit of fire under my belly.
Yeah. I remember my question from earlier.
Yeah.
So we were talking about fear, and I actually find myself, I don't get scared of the audience. Because they're just there to have a good time. I'm scared of all the comics standing up the back who have been doing this 4, 5, 6 years. And I get you said imposter syndrome, and that's what jogged my memory. I'm like, what if I'm up here telling these jokes and it's like my first, second, third time, and what if they're like, nah, he hasn't got it, he's a fraud. That's what goes through my... Do you ever get that? Were you ever concerned about the comics up there?
Oh yeah, I was. Now I'm at a point where like I don't care because like
you know them all, and you're like, they're all fucked, they're all thinking the same thing.
Yeah. Or you've seen them bomb and then like they see you bomb, and sometimes they have a good night, sometimes they don't.
Yeah. Yes.
So yeah. So it's an interesting relationship, and like I find because I feel like we're all ruled by so much fear by everything. Because like with the stuff with the risky jokes, because I've tried stuff where it's on topics where it's difficult to speak about, and then you have it where it feels like the oxygen's been sucked out of the room. Like I've done stuff.
Such a good way to put it.
Yeah, about like maybe like sexual assault or trans jokes and stuff that's topical, just trying to play with it and push the boundaries. And like a lot of the time the audience just like, especially in the city, because I think it's, and I see it in with people that you chat to that you meet just while out or in friend groups. It's, I don't know what it is. It's with like this social media and like the wokeness. They don't invoke a sense of like challenging or like critical thinking. It's as soon as you mention these buzzwords, it's just they shut down and they just go, no, you can't talk about that. You can't talk about that. No, let's not listen to any other opinion. Any other opinion is wrong. No, shut down. Shut down.
It's irrational.
Does not compute. Does not compute. Yeah. You can't just have an open discussion or a chat about.
It's terrible, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's just about anything. Like at the moment with like the Israel-Palestine stuff, you'll just mention that and just people, they tense up and it's like, because growing up through the church, it very much feels control like that. Because I grew up with, like my parents were pretty loose with it. Like some things they were cool with, some things they weren't. Some of the kids that I was in Sunday school with, they weren't allowed to watch, like we might be 10, 12, 14, 15, but between that, like until they're 15, they weren't allowed to watch anything M. So it was all PG. Yeah. Where I was like 10 or 11 watching like Marvel movies and like The Simpsons and stuff like that, or Harry Potter. As soon as it's like witchcraft or it's of the devil. That's what like the wokeness feels for me, and that's why I can't stand it. And I don't hate, like I understand for a lot of it, it's for good reason. Like you want to progression is good, and you want to make the world a better place, and like people need representation, and
That's
there's
not better,
obviously
though.
like there's bad people and stuff. Like I'm not saying representation's bad,
Yeah.
but I saw something the other day which like made me think, and I was like, oh, that's actually true. And it was saying, like, I'm not like a Disney nerd, like, you know, there's Disney adults, but it just popped up, and it was saying Disney back in the day when they weren't forcing the representation down your throat was way better, and they had like Pocahontas, the Frog Princess and the Frog, and I think a couple others as well. Yeah, and I think even Moana or something. But like it was all the like 2D ones, and I was like, yeah, this is Lilo and Stitch. And I was like, yeah, this is actually better stories about other people from other countries, and not just going like, you have to like this or you're a bigot. Yeah.
Where do you like, obviously, I feel like the woke stuff has sort of come to a real arrowhead at the moment. Like, everyone's on fucking serious tilt with that. And I think you'd agree and say, like, maybe 10, 15 years ago, it was not the case. Like, you go back and you have a look at some of the... do you know what the Comedy Company is? It's like old school fucking 80s comedy stuff. And some of the shit they used to say, even like... Have you ever heard the 12th Man? Do you know what the 12th Man... Okay. Old Australian comedy stuff. They would just say whatever. Like, sexist, racist shit. And it was sweet. Nobody cared. Well, like, where do you reckon this, like, new, like, wokeness has come from?
Yeah, it's difficult as a straight white man.
Maybe start by apologising for your gender.
Yeah, no. I don't know. Like, because I think it's a sense of, like, control and verifying people's reality. And I think it's like, because some of it's like it's in school or it's the shit they see online, and like, so it's just like you constantly. And I used to be like that. I used to be one of those male feminists. That's right, we exist. But like I'd be putting shit on my story.
How long did that
sharing? It was a couple of years, but it was because one, trying to get pussy.
Laid. Yep.
Yeah. Two. Yep. Was just trying to be cool and be, because that's what everyone was doing.
Yep.
And then, like, it just flipped and it contradicts itself, like religion, and it's just another form of control. And I think it's just like we lack purpose. That's all it is. And for some of it as well, like, because there's so many different aspects of it, because it's such like a wide spectrum. Because for my show, I was handing out flyers in the city, so I was just at the back of Flinders Street, just had flyers.
Sick.
Just going like, hey, comedy show, blah, 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 a couple days on this day, tickets $10, come see my show. Just something like that, just being friendly, smile on my face. Yeah, I sold a fair few. It took me a bit, like, I had to learn. I'm not going to say my secrets on here, because I don't want anyone else stealing them. Last day, I sold, like, nearly 10 tickets, just on the day, because I worked it out. But, yeah, that's...
Knife to the throat will do that.
Yeah. But you, like, there's certain people that were like, oh, yeah, that's cool. Oh, thanks, mate. And there was these certain people that were dressed in that, like, you could see they were woke, like, it's a stereotype, coloured hair. I have piercings, like, I love punk rock, metal stuff, so I like being alternative. Yep. But they were dressing that way, and they look like they were in that age group, from that demographic or that group. And they would just walk past and just, straight white man, comedy, not interested.
They actually said that?
No, you could just see on their face, just like looking at me, just
it.
greasing, just like, no. And there was another one where there was this bird, like, it sucks to like look at someone on looks, but it's because I just saw them for 30 seconds. They walked past, two girls, one girl, really attractive young girl, had good energy, was really nice. She was walking past, and she was like, oh yeah, tries to grab out and reach it, and her friend was more from that woke side, not as attractive, literally fended her off like she was a fucking like tight end, like defending the quarterback, and just looked at me and was like, no, we're not interested.
That's a fucking weird vibe.
Yeah, and I'm just like, what?
That's weird.
Well, I'm not even, like, hadn't said a joke, was just trying to sell a product, essentially. Just saying, like, hey, come see my show.
That's crazy, because that's not actually about the friend. She's communicating to you. If you really think about it. Because, like, what's the harm in taking a flyer? Yeah. Like, play it out from her perspective. Let her take the flyer and then say, that's fucking ridiculous. If you really don't want your friend to go to that, that's a communication to you saying, like, fuck you. That's fucking disgusting.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and the friend was full keen. Like, it looked like she was, like, because I, like, into American sports and all different stuff. Like, she looked like she was blocking on the O-line, like, defensive. Just, like, fucking... And her friend was trying to reach around to grab it. And I was like, what?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's nuts. So, yeah. And it's, like... because I like a lot of old school music, and I know what like it is with like people my age, because I'm 25, 26 in a few months,
Yep.
and even the younger generation, because I was a weird kid. I used to like watch Saturday cartoons and then watch like the History Channel and that Geo and watch history stuff, and I like watching old documentaries and just like of how people used to live. And I remember my pop when I was a kid, because my parents they always allowed me to be different and a bit weird, and because mum's a bit of a hippie and they had dreadlocks, I had dreads. Mum would shave me a mohawk, dye my hair blonde. Like I've had every colour but Ranger. And my pop, he was looking after me, and he was saying like, oh, if I was your age in school, because he's on my stepdad's side, he's British. He was saying like I would have got the cane for having hair like yours in a mohawk. Like we had to wear leather school shoes, tie, everything like that. Like he was just saying like how different it was back then. And you look at when kind of through the 60s you have the hippie movement where everyone's wearing tie-dye, peace, love, summer of like love from 67 or 69 or whatever it was, Woodstock. And then you go into the 70s where they're still like that, flair. But then the opposing to that was the punk stuff. So your Sex Pistols and the Clash in London, and then you got your Ramones and Blondie in and the Stooges in like New York and Detroit. And people start wearing piercings, they have spiky hair, they're dyeing it all different colours. And like even like Sid Vicious, there's photos of him where he's wearing a shirt with a swastika on it just to piss people off. And it was just, they just wanted to oppose everything everyone else was doing.
Yeah, right.
And it was just to piss that off. But like you walk around now, like people, it's trendy to wear ripped jeans. People have mohawks all the time. People dye their hair different colours or have weird hairstyles or spike it up. Or a lot of people have facial piercings and they dress that way because it became the norm and it was cool. That's all right. I like dressing like that. Heaps of people dress like that. And I feel like these group and these people, there's so much of us because we're used to being, like we're programmed to be in a tribe no longer or no bigger than about 200 people or something like that.
Interesting.
They just want to be seen and they want to be noticed because I think they might be lacking purpose and they feel lost. So they do whatever they can just to be seen and go, look at me. And then they go, oh, I'm different. I identify as this. I don't play by your rules. I'm opposing whatever thing you have. So I'm different.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah, that's my theory on it anyway.
That's interesting.
Yeah, the way you think. Because I think they lack purpose and feeling noticed and going like, I matter, I'm different.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they don't want to blend in like everyone else.
That's very interesting. I kind of agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I've never considered that before. Yeah, that's cool. I like that. So your first time, you went up.
Yeah.
And how'd you go? Did you bomb?
No, I did all right.
Did all right?
So, yeah, I had practiced, didn't refer to any sheets, had a couple jokes.
Yeah.
Had one. I still use it now. But had a joke about George Powell and like molesting kids and stuff.
Sensational.
So, yeah, and then came off and then got complimented by a few comedians. And they were like, whoa, that was your first time? You actually had beats, you did well. And I was like, I don't know what I was doing, bro.
Yeah.
And then a week later went to another room, which is usually pretty dead on a Thursday.
Yeah.
Like, not much going on there. And 8 died.
Yeah.
Because I got off stage at Sellers and I'm like, I am a god.
Oh,
I am the best. Yeah.
You got high on your own supply.
Yeah. Because, like, I had a drink, like, I was shaking afterwards. Just like...
Yeah. Because you bombed.
No, I was shaking at...
at Sellers.
Because thinking I was so amazing. Yeah. And then... At the other room at the Exford, I didn't do as great because there was no one in the audience, and I learnt very quickly that some of that stuff, because there was some woke people in the room, and then that stuff doesn't always fly.
Yep.
So yeah.
Do you reckon it's going away, the woke stuff, or do you reckon it's? What do you reckon?
I don't think so.
You don't reckon?
I also think it's my other theories. It's the new religion, kind of what I was tapping onto before, because it's a form of control. Because every census now. For every 5 or 10 years or whenever it is. Yeah. Australia especially, I don't know about other countries, but we lose, like, more and more people are less religious. So another 10% since each census is less religious, and they become either agnostic or atheist.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. So, and I think
there is definitely something inherently in us that we require religion.
Yeah. We require religion or some form of control or ideology.
Yeah.
This is, and it's just so we can verify our reality. Going, this table is brown.
Yeah.
I am me. I am Caleb. I am a man. This is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That's interesting.
Yeah. So I don't. Some spots it is like there's a big need for it. Like a lot of the stuff, because like obviously like I'm a comedy nerd. Like some of the stuff you were mentioning, probably not. Like I haven't need to do my homework, but like
I don't know very much about it at all.
Oh, okay.
I just know, like, I'm not an Australian comedy nerd at all.
Oh, okay.
If you want to talk US stuff, I'm like die hard. I'm really into a lot of the stuff that's going on with like Shane Gillis and Theo Vaughn. And
Yeah,
all
I love
sort
those guys.
Really, really into that sort of scene. And I'm interested in the history of the guys who were at the store, like Kinnison and all those sort of guys, and the Dangerfield movement and all that sort of stuff that was going on. I'm very, very interested in that. Literally, the only reason I know about the comedy company is my grandfather was talking about him last Sunday. And then I went home and did some research. I was like, oh yeah, that was a thing. And I grew up listening to The 12th Man. That was actually, The 12th Man's pretty funny. And that holds up today. It's very funny. So so do you know The Wide World of Sports?
Yeah.
So he does a piss take of it called The Wired World of Sports, and he nails one guy nails every voice of all the presenters and just takes the piss out of it. Holds up. It's hysterical. It's great.
Sounds like old school Monty Python. Like they used to
very
do
much
like
that. Very much that. I reckon the woke on the Theo Vaughn stuff. I reckon the woke stuff is going away in the US.
Oh yeah.
Because of Texas, because of the mothership and everything that's going on in that world. And I think I said this with Abhishek the other day as well. Because of the Hollywoodification of the comedy scene that happened in the 80s, 90s, and early ooze, when you take comedy out of Hollywood and away from Hollywood and away from all the movies, and then it's just about comedy, then all of a sudden these comics aren't trying to land a role anymore, and they're just telling jokes. And that's why you're seeing like dangerous comedy again in Austin. Yeah. But we don't have that here. And there's something inherently woke in Melbourne.
In Australia in general. I'll say more from Sydney, I guess.
Yeah, okay.
Because there's more of the YouTube guys. Because there's kind of like, there's almost like two paths that you can go in Australia.
Yeah.
So it's, you do your thing, you toe the line, you be safe, blah, blah, blah. If you're lucky and you stick around, maybe you get signed to a management company, you do gigs, people like you. You might get some roles on TV. You might pop up on The Project, on ABC and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do Comedy Republic, maybe some stuff at the Comics Lounge if you're big enough.
Yeah.
You look at those guys and their numbers for either their clips, their followings online, their like reels and TikToks and shit. They don't do massively, but you people like Isaac Butterfield, Friendly Geordies, Frenchie, even Luke Kidgel, Blake Pavey. They're like Luke Kidgel and Blake Pavey. I'd say they're on.
He blew up over.
Oh yeah.
Like was he a comedian first, or was he doing TikTok? Blake Pavey.
I think he was a comedian first.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
But some of them they do sketch and stuff as well.
Yep.
But like, yeah, Luke Kidgel like blew up as well because he used to do. Oh, Lewis Spears is another one as well. He's a Frankston comedian.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. So they do YouTube / TikTok stuff. So
Yep.
they just do skits, videos, clips, whatever.
Yep.
Or they make social commentary videos. So like Friendly Geordies does his thing in politics.
Yep.
Isaac Butterfield does his on like social commentary on whatever's going on in the news.
Yep.
Frenchie just does his just skits, just bogan skits and stuff.
Mm.
And then it's since they're independent and do it their own way, and then they build a following and a rapport online, and because there's a need for that, they can go out and tour. And they've built a following. Like Neil Kahatkar's another one as well.
Yep. No, that's cool.
So yeah. And then what's interesting, so those guys, they're welcome at the Comics Lounge because the Comics Lounge don't give a shit who is who. Like they do play both sides. They go like, but the Comedy Republic's one where like they like more of the woke stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
There is something inherently woke about Melbourne as a general rule.
Yeah.
Though. Not just necessarily the comedians, but like everything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like
I lived in Queensland for a year.
Oh yeah.
And you go down to like I lived in country Queensland too. I lived in Jim Boomba, which if you're watching and you know what Jim Boomba is, it's well, if you don't know where Jim Boomba is, should I say, it's an hour and a half off the Gold, or an hour out of the Gold Coast, and it's inland, and it's just bumpkins, really.
Yeah.
It's a lovely place to live, but it's bumpkiny. And man, some of the shit they say there, if you said that in fucking Swanson Street, you'd get, well, I was going to say stabbed, but I don't know, they'd try and throw avocado at you or something like that, I don't know.
Well, they'd probably just have an anxiety attack.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
just ruins everything, though, and I think it's really hard to have comedy without victims. You know what I mean? Like, you got to pick on something.
Yeah, and they say, like, punching up. And I think there's obviously stuff where it's like, it's not cool to do stuff. And you're like, yeah, you don't want to be a dick. Or, like, you don't want to, just for the fun of it. And it's like, there's like, it's kind of like along the lines of bullying.
Yeah.
But, like, the stuff I talk about, I even put a little spiel in there because Mark Norman talks about, like, the audience is dumb. You've got to remind them and keep going. And then that's, like, why he just says, like, dumb stuff. And he's like, comedy, that's so he reminds them. So if it's something, like, real heavy and tough, they're like, oh, yeah, we're at a comedy show.
I love it when he does that. It's so funny.
Yeah. Oh, lighten up, you queef. Like,
yeah.
just something like that.
He's actually a genius.
Oh, yeah. Because you got to remind the audience, and in my show I have a little spiel where, like, I talk about and I say, like, these jokes I'm talking about, it's a lot of heavy subjects, some of it, and the reason I talk about it, because I've had people after shows come up and talk to me going like, hey, you can't talk about that, that's fucked up, you shouldn't joke about that stuff, it's not funny, it's not okay.
What do you do there?
That's what I say. I talk about this stuff so it's in the forefront of our mind, so we can talk about it, and maybe I can bring it in a different perspective that someone may understand and can deconstruct. And it's also an obvious, like, heavy issue that we need to keep in the forefront of our minds, because if it doesn't happen to you, or the way you might hear about it is it might happen to someone you know, might happen to you, or you hear about it on the news. And it's just to keep around. And this is from, like, watching all those fucking documentaries on Netflix with those, like, the free range parents just letting, like, fucking pedos, like, look after their kids and stuff. And
Jeez,
just, like,
what?
Back in the day. Have you seen those ones?
No.
Oh, there's ones where, like, back in the day, they're just like, oh yeah, we'll just, like, let our kids just hang out or whatever, and these guys just took him away for 3 days, and then it's like they got molested and shit. So it's like, yeah, don't blame us, blame your fucking parents from back in the day. They weren't, like, on top of shit happening.
Yeah, right.
But, like, I try and, because, yeah, like I said, you only get to hear about it in those certain environments. And if we're not talking about it, and you don't want to bring it up in a room. And I'm not sitting here, like, I literally say, because I have jokes about George Pell and, like, kids getting molested, Catholic Church and stuff like that. Like I say, like, I'm not here going, I support child molestation. Like, I'm not...
You're not an advocate, you're a comic.
Yeah. And I'm just commenting on stuff going on that's wrong, and just trying to keep it and being like, oi, like, pretty much the whole point is going, like, keep an eye on your kids. Make sure they don't get touched up.
also, like, what do you think's going to happen? You come out to a fucking comedy show. What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah. Like, I even had one where I have another joke, and it's like, because, like, I am, like, politically, I lean more to the left, and I'm more of a lefty than conservative on some things, but some stuff I, like, see either way. Like, I'm more...
What do you mean? Freedom. You don't just change your whole self to be something?
No. But, like... Isn't
that what you're supposed to do, though?
some of my stuff is quite woke, but the way I present it, it's a bit more in your face or whatever.
Yeah, okay.
And one... kind of fucks the joke. Like, I don't want to talk about it, because, like, in case someone wants to see it.
Yeah,
but,
it'll ruin it.
Yeah. But the whole shtick is, like, as a guy, you don't understand what it's like to be a woman, because we're constantly trying to fuck women or have sex with them. And women are literally every day, guys are hitting on them all the time, and they're pretty much just dodging dicks. Like, that's the whole thing. And then I just talk about, and go on a whole heap of, like, why all this stuff, and we just have no idea if you don't think of it from that perspective. And I had a lady she was an owner of a bar, and she came up to me and she said, like, oh, you can't say that, you don't understand what it's like, you haven't had to do that, blah, 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 you haven't been assaulted. And then she followed it up. She was weird as hell, man. She was saying, like, oh, it doesn't happen that much anymore, but you haven't been assaulted, blah, blah, blah. Like, we used to have to walk past the job sites and get wolf whistled by guys. Yeah, and I'm like, that one, for starters.
Sorry.
That still happens now.
Yeah.
Just because it doesn't happen to you. Yeah. And how fucking dare you? I was thinking on the way home, it's always when you're not, like, you think... later.
Man, after the fact sucks. Monday morning fucking quarterbacking after an interaction with someone on the street is terrible.
Yeah. And I was thinking afterwards, and this is why, like, I talk about it and stuff. I wanted to talk about it on stage, but, like, I don't think I can do it, I haven't found a way to talk about it that's funny. But I've actually been assaulted before on numerous occasions.
Yeah, right.
Nothing, like, hectic or bad. And, like, it sucks. Like, it's awful. And, like, I've had it happen to my female friends. I've had it happen to my male friends. People are shit. People suck. Most of the time, unfortunately, it is men because they're, like, super horny and just think they have a right to someone's body. And I was thinking, like, no, I've had that happen. I've literally had to dodge dicks. So fuck you, and fuck you for trying to tell me what I can say and can't say just because you saw my material for 5 minutes and you don't know what I've been through and what I've gone through. So don't try and tell me what the fuck to say if you don't know what I've lived through and what I've experienced. So just shut the fuck up and either laugh or move the fuck on if you don't like it.
How do you not let that in? Do you just go, you're a fucking idiot, or the person who approached you after
I was nice because she owned the bar and let us have the show, so I just went
yeah
like that. Because other people, I've had other friends, and like woke chicks as well.
Sure.
So there's one where that I think Abhishek mentioned there's that loner gig which RIP isn't running at the moment.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. So after that, my mate, he came along. Some of my mates came, and then one of them, he brought a girl on a date. And she cracked the absolute shits at some of my jokes, and another mate that performed one of his jokes, and they came back to ours, and she was in our house, my house, that I pay rent for.
Sure.
And was having a crack at me. And then I brought up that spiel that I mentioned before, saying, like, yeah, I talk about this stuff, because the only other way you're going to hear about it, and we become so desensitized to it, where we're just like, oh, yep, another one, another one.
Yeah.
Where... like, the only way you're going to encounter it is if it's on the news, happens to you, or happens to someone you know.
Yeah.
So I try and just keep some awareness and go like, yeah, this shit still happens. You got to, like...
It's crazy, man. Did you kick her out?
No, she ended up staying. But after I had that spiel, she shut the fuck up, because she was one of those woke ones.
Oh, I get you.
Yeah, and she's one of those, like, because it sucks. Like I said, I've been assaulted before, like, sexually assaulted. Like, nothing major, but wasn't a fun time.
Yep.
Incredibly violating. Like, it's not fun for anyone.
I bet.
And anyone that's had anything like that, I feel sorry for you and just want you to know it's okay. It's not your fault.
Yep.
But, like, because some of these chicks, like, it's work. Like, I'm not saying... keep it to yourself. And I know this is a podcast and this is just me explaining my comedy and more about me. But she, like, because I wouldn't, so I've obviously talked about this even though I just met you a little while ago. But after a while later...
I'd say about 41 minutes ago.
Yeah. This is like for recording and just so people get to know me a bit better.
Yeah, no, I like it. Please.
Someone you've just met, I wouldn't just open up and go, oh, this happened to me, icebreaker.
Yeah.
She was talking to me and my other housemate and was just going like, oh, yeah, my ex-boyfriend assaulted me. He was a piece of shit. And we're both like...
Yep.
Like, that's... Like, you don't just...
Yeah.
That... What? Obviously, she's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of chicks are just like... No, just... And, like, it sucks, and it's not okay, and it's not cool. But, like...
It's a weird thing to lead with.
Yeah, and that doesn't make you who you are.
No. Yep.
Like, you're more than that. You're... Because one thing I try and believe, because I've done bad things, like, not everyone's perfect. And with the whole woke thing, it's this ideology that... So many of them are, like, fucking so tightly wound. They're so anxious. They're incredibly depressed. They just see the shit and everything. That they think they are and everyone else is the worst thing about them. So when someone's cancelled, so say Louis...
Let me wrap my dumb head around that. They think... Say it again.
That they are and everyone else is the worst thing that they've ever done. Or the worst thing about them. Okay. So say someone like Louis C.K., it was like, wasn't a bad, like, sorry, that's, it was a bad thing. Like, he did the wrong thing.
Yep.
Like, so there was obviously miscommunication. Sometimes when you're encountering someone like that sexually, missed signals, doesn't match up.
Yep.
He apologized. She was like, yeah, that wasn't cool, blah, blah, blah. Happened. He went underground, came back. It's all cool. Everyone knows about it. And like, yeah, cool. Misconstrued through the media because they blow it up. He gets tagged with the like rape, sexual assault thing, but it was just him jerking off in front of a chick and she wasn't for it. And it's like, but he thought they were getting down. That was his thing. Then therefore everyone thinks that he's just like a sex pest. Yeah. And that's what they label him as. Yeah. Or I'm trying to think of like another example where someone came, or like Johnny Depp, for example, where it came out in the media and through the way that the lawsuit happened with him and Amber Heard, they thought he was
the wrong.
Yeah, he was
The
in the
villain.
wrong. He was an abuser.
Yeah.
He was the villain. And with these people, they also think they go like the way they introduce themselves. It's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
They literally go, "Hi, my name's Caleb," and they're like, "Oh yeah, hi, my name's Josie. I have depression, ADHD, anxiety, blah blah blah." And you're like,
Man, I've seen that.
you're like,
You see a lot of that on TikTok too.
yeah, I
It's
also
like-
have. My name's Caleb. I have hemorrhoids.
Yeah. You haven't actually told me anything about yourself
Yeah.
yet. Yeah.
Cool, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes when I shit, there's blood. Nice.
Jesus. I'm gonna want to get that checked out.
That's a joke. That's a joke. That's a joke. But like, you don't just go like,
No.
Yeah.
It is weird that people lead with that. I was watching this thing on TikTok the other day, and this person was, as you just said, going through like all their fucking bits and pieces. They obviously start with their pronouns. They start with their mental
health.
state, and then they talk about traumas that have happened in their life. And it's like, this is not you. These are things about you. It's like saying, my name's Andy, I'm wearing a blue hat, I'm wearing a blue, like, tell me I'm a gardener, I run a podcast. Like, these things. These are the things that fucking, I'm a dad. Like, tell me what's actually going on.
Yeah. Try and look at the good things about you. And then, because I was listening to that podcast with Theo and Tony Robbins. I haven't listened to much of Tony Robbins stuff, but a lot of it I found very interesting.
I listened to that one too. So
yeah, it was really good. And he talks about it's pretty much confirmation bias, but talking about if you've programmed your brain to look for the worst in everything, you always will. And that's what they do.
Did he, I can't remember if he did it on that one or something else I listened to. He talked about the hot coffee experiment.
Yeah, it was on that one. Yeah, and then how you leave someone and then you feel cold or like
so what
if
they
it was
do,
a nice coffee. Yeah.
So what they do is, and if I fuck it up, jump in because I probably will fuck it up. They approach a random on the street and they say, "Hey, can you please hold my hot coffee?" And then they come back, and they also perform the same experiment with a cold coffee, and then they follow them for 15 minutes. And they come back and they say, how did you feel about something?
Yeah, or what? How would you describe the person that you had that interaction with?
Yeah.
And then it was like both of them were like in the 80%. So it was like one was like 83, one was 86%.
Yeah. But
so
basically, the
4
people
out of
who
5
interacted
times.
with the hot drink said warm. People who interacted with the cold drink said cold.
Yeah, so they thought the person with the hot coffee was really warm, receptive, nice. Person that had the iced coffee, the cold coffee was cold, distant, not very nice, and just kind of like just shoved it in your hand, so it leaves you feeling uncomfortable.
Yep.
So if you go in and your first interaction with someone is going like, "Oh, I have these things,"
Yep.
It's like going like, "Oh," like you're making them feel cold, going like, "All right."
Yep.
You have a lot of shit going on.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, bro. I got enough stuff going on in here. I don't need I don't need to know what's going on with you and going like, how do I go around this? I just need to like go on to the next thing or do whatever I'm doing or fixing what's going up in here today. I don't need to.
I suppose it's a defense mechanism now that I think about it, to like say like, my name's Angela and I have anxiety and depression and I'm this
autistic.
And that. Yeah. I suppose it's a please don't threaten me because I clearly can't cope with life. So don't come at me, don't attack me. It's a weird way to do it, though. Kind of makes me want to do it.
Yeah. Like, the way I can see it, like, it almost feels like in the animal kingdom, like, someone's just literally just going, like, plain dead. Or they're just putting the white flag straight up, just going, like, yep, no, don't hurt me, please.
I'm just crossing off the questions.
Yeah, no. Yeah, it's interesting. And there's some comedians that go up and they'll introduce themselves and they go, like, oh, yeah, my name's, like, just all the names I thought of were female comedian names that I know. But I'll just say like, oh yeah, my name's Laura. I have ADHD. I'm depressed and I'm autistic. And then that just everyone either if they're from that scene, they're like, ooh, or they're like,
What's your writing process? Do you write? Do you sit down and you write? Do you go to the beach? Do you just go, you know what? I'm just gonna live life, and when inspiration strikes, what happens?
I can't sit down and write for shit. Like if you put me in a room and was like, all right, you need to come out with 10 jokes.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I have to be, because with my brain I have to like distract myself, so just doing like mindless labour, I guess, like so jobs around the house or I'll be at work because the work I do is like some of it's like warehouse stuff, so I'll be like unpacking boxes and stacking shelves, and then that's like just when it's like I'm distracted and I can just let my mind go.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
So you're
and I'll
just
write it
doing
down.
normal life, and then
Yeah.
so if you're at work, something happens, and you go, "That's a joke."
Yeah, and then I'll write it down. Or a lot of the times it'll be like I'm out with friends or like with other comedians, and just that improvised like line or a funny idea comes up. And
Yeah.
I've even had stuff now where it's exciting that I can get to that point where I've been on stage doing crowd work. I'm like, oh, there's an
Yeah,
idea
joke.
there, and then
Yeah.
I got a joke out of it. And wow, it's
Do you do
nice.
it?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, you'll see the window and you'll be like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna open it and climb through."
yeah, I did
on
that.
stage.
Yeah, yeah. And
you
then
don't come off and write it down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then later I was like, oh, there's more to that I can add to it, and then I just worked on it for a bit, and then
You come
came
up with a
out.
tag and shit
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
Did you
yeah.
feel like a hero? I bet you felt like a fucking hero the first time it happened. No? You didn't feel
Oh,
good?
yeah,
You weren't
yeah,
proud
yeah.
of yourself?
Crowd work, crowd work feels alright, but
Yeah, okay. No. Coming up with a material, like a piece on stage and doing it on stage and it doing well, you didn't feel great?
nah, I didn't really think about it.
Yeah,
I was just
okay.
like, it's just another joke. I wasn't
Sure.
like patting myself on
Yeah,
the
okay.
back. I was just like, oh, that's another one. That's cool. I
Yeah,
like that.
okay. Yeah.
There was one where it's pretty funny, where like I just got really angry, and upset because I went on a couple of dates with a chick, and then she ghosted me, and I hadn't been ghosted before. I had a pretty, not like chatting myself up, I had
Yeah.
a pretty good success rate. Usually it'd be like on a couple of dates, and like either like it would just be like, because I would communicate and say like, yeah, this isn't it, sorry,
Yep.
blah, 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 or the other person would say that, and you're like, yep, cool.
Yeah.
Or it'd be like, oh, we're girlfriends, or we're just like seeing each other at the fucking girlfriend boyfriend, but we're seeing each other at the moment. And this chick, she just full ghosted me, and I never had that happen before.
Yeah, right.
And I was kind of in my head, just real angry and upset because it fucking sucks, dude. It is the worst. It's fucking awful. And then I remember just being in the bathroom, just brushing my teeth before going to bed, and I'm like, nah, fuck you. I'm not letting you get one over me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna write a joke about this, and was just like
Ah.
ghosted, and wrote a joke about it. Has nothing to do with being ghosted, but it has stuff to do with ghosts.
Sure.
So I was like, yeah,
Yep.
I got something out of it
Oh, that's good.
I'm not gonna let you have one over me because I have that like competitiveness, or like I can't lose.
Mm.
So yeah, sometimes it's not good for me, but
So you're 26.
25, yeah, 26
but you're
in a
about to
couple
turn
months.
26,
Yeah.
25 and a half. So it means you were 24 and a half when you started. So what were you doing beforehand? Did you always have an inkling you wanted to do this? Or was it just like you were going to comedy clubs and you got shit-faced and went up once sort of thing? You know what I mean?
Oh, so I always watched it as a kid. Like I remember the first special I watched.
Ooh, who was
like,
your first comic?
Robin Williams. So if
Cool.
you can see my
Yeah,
wallpaper there.
there you go.
So yeah, inspiration.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, and it was his Weapons of Mass Destruction. And then after that, it was Eddie Murphy's Delirious. I used to watch Russell
That's
Howard's
iconic.
Good News
Yeah.
every week. Yeah, and I absolutely loved it. And from there, so I was like 14, 15, high school. And then would just watch stuff all the time. And then as I got a bit older, watch like Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle. And I always wanted to do it, but I was always like too chicken. And I was always that like kind of the class clown that was a bit lazy, would like make comments, laugh with the teacher.
Yep.
Teachers loved me because I'd do my work enough, but they'd be like, come on, you're funny, but like just do the work. Like some of them fucking hated me and would just kick me out of class all the time.
Yep.
And then after that, like didn't go to uni and just bounced around basic retail jobs that kind of sucked, had shit bosses, just shit jobs, just doing shit to just get by, just living life and pass some time. Was friends with not good people that were good for me, like just around not good people. And it was like went and actually, because I hadn't seen any live stuff. My first one was Russell Howard. Saw him in the lockdowns of 2021. And that's when I started. Oh, it was like, it was in one of those in between weird ones.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah,
those.
yeah. And and then after that, I was like, fuck yeah, I can do that. I start writing. And what was cool about that one, because it wasn't a proper show like at the Palais or something. It was like the Athenaeum, like a smaller venue in Melbourne.
Yep.
But he was just doing a workout show. And he's like, well, I'm
Oh,
stuck
that's
here in
cool.
Australia. I'm stuck here in Melbourne because the lockdowns are all in place. And he's just like, oh, I've got some material I want to look at. And he's literally just had a notebook to the side and was just going through stuff and just trying stuff out. And even the way that he sold the ticket was a bit cheaper. And I'm like, oh, that's... Because the way you see it, you think it's so perfected. And you're like, that's literally
Took a
all
peek
it is.
behind the curtain for you.
Yeah. And then I started writing through the lockdowns and just went through some mental health stuff, was feeling like real down in the dumps because lockdown was like rough and just had a whole heap of life catch up with me all at once. changed a fair few different jobs, and was just pretty much on a quest to just find something that suited me and was a bit better. Because I always work like real shit jobs where like I should have, like, and it was just with people that aren't good for you. Because what people don't realize, like, energy is so important. And that's something I try and
100%,
keep
100%.
focused. Because people don't, they just go through life just sifting through. Because if you don't make life happen, life will happen to you. And like, you're the average of the people you're around, like, the most. So the 5 people you're around the most. And just that shit energy was just around me, and I'd often have to work nights or early mornings and weekends, and never got a chance to do the comedy. But it also, I didn't get to see my family very much. I didn't get to see my mates very much because they were all working 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. So then I just went, fuck it, I'm going to find one of those jobs. And I'm in a really good job now. They know I do stand-up. They saw some of my skits and clips because they stalked my
And they didn't fire you.
No, they said
So
in the
that's
interview, and they're like, no, that's a
good.
pisser. We want a bloke like you around in the office and stuff like that. And I'm
That's
like, oh,
great.
yeah. And then
Yeah.
they're super supportive. Like, I'll do gigs. Sometimes they see that I get home real late, and then they're like, oh, yeah, how's last night? And then, yeah, they're real nice. And, like, they never see me, like, complain. They just see, like, maybe in
Sure.
the next morning I'm real slow.
Yep.
Just,
And they get it.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's really good. You
Yeah,
need
like, I
something
might
like
just
that.
not be, like, as chatty or normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah, and they're all for it. And then, like, even, like, in staff meetings when I got my first paid gig, they just mentioned him, like, oh, Caleb got his first paid gig on
That's
last
sick.
weekend. Like, good job to him. And they, like,
Yeah.
gave me a round of applause and stuff. So, real
Well,
supportive.
What was your first paid gig?
I was at the Rubber Chicken. So, it was the last one.
Yeah.
Last dark comedy special. So,
Okay.
it was pretty cool.
Yeah,
So,
nice.
wasn't, like, it wasn't, it's not all fabulous.
Sure.
Like, a lot of my friends, they see, like, because I post on socials and say,
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm at this gig tonight. If you're around, do this, do that, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. And I've had a few of them come up to me and go, like, oh, you must be making so much money getting paid for all these gigs. And you're like, no.
Negative, sir.
Yeah. It takes
Yeah.
a while to get there. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of money in comedy at the bottom.
No, it
at
takes a
all.
while to get there.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's all good fun. But, yeah, that was the dark comedy special. And the Chook is a massive hit for that scene because we were talking about it the other day because they were very much for that freedom of speech, not woke. So, like, Lewis Spears, for example, the guy from Frankston, the Comedy Festival last year, I saw a show, and it was around about the time that the Dalai Lama went through that controversy for sucking that kid's tongue. Do you remember that?
No.
Yeah, it was, like, about probably March, April last year, and there was a video that went
Oh,
around.
no, we talked about this on my podcast a couple of weeks ago. Yeah,
and
and
he
we
stuck
looked it
his
up.
tongue out
Yeah.
and then got the kid to suck his tongue or something.
Yeah, okay.
He made jokes about that, but
Yeah.
then he had... What's the religion they're from again? The monks?
Buddhist?
Yeah, Buddhist.
Yeah.
Yeah. He had protests out the front.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and cops were getting involved. And I'm
Oh,
like,
I remember this.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I
yeah,
remember.
yeah.
Oh, no, I remember reading this. Oh, I remember reading an article about this, and oh, that was great. There was a quote on the article that said, "The time for joking is over." And it was someone who had attended a comedy show said that. And I thought that was the most ironic thing I'd read in my life.
it's also pretty ironic because, like, there's a mob of angry Buddhists, but they're meant to have inner peace.
Yeah.
And, like, there was cops there as well because they're scared it was going to get violent. I'm like,
Yeah.
aren't they all pacifists?
Yeah. That's hysterical. Oh, that's great. I like that. Fuck.
Yeah, and they still let him do all the shows. They didn't cancel anything. They
That's good. Good for them.
Yeah, and they did. Yeah, and they were awesome because they just let stuff open for all different cultures. There's a couple comics that I know that are Indian. They would do shows in Hindi and then do it in English for an Indian audience. Would sell out
Yep.
multiple nights. There was and they did the dark comedy one as well, where they would go. They want the dark, edgy shit, and they were all for it, and they would allow
Yeah.
it to happen. Some of the other places, they're not so much for that.
What happened to the chicken?
They.
Do you know? Are you allowed to say it?
Yeah. It just sucks
Is it
because I know
known?
some of the guys that are near it. Yeah, it's known. Like
Okay.
we drove past the other day, and the notice is still on the door.
Oh, because that's where I was gonna do my first set, and I
Yeah.
like literally Googled it, and it was like shut, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
well, I
it
won't
was,
be going there anymore.
it was just they had a lot of rent arrears, and were pretty much
Okay.
50 grand in the hole. So yeah, and then
bugger.
the landlord changed the locks.
Yeah, fair
So, yeah.
enough, I suppose. But
Yeah,
it
and that's a big
sucks
hit
for the
for the-
scene.
Yeah, and for the comedy festival as well, because they used to each night during the comedy festival host 3 to 4 shows a night at least.
Okay. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a big hit, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
They're still doing the hard knocks through other places, and I think Maury's the guy who ran the Chook. He's got some other shows going somewhere else as well
Okay.
for the comedy festivals through another place in the city.
So what's the School of Hard? The hard knocks.
Yeah, I haven't done it. I just like fucking raw dogged it, just jumped right in.
Yep.
But if you're someone who maybe is a bit nervous or apprehensive. I've got some good friends that have done it, and I know some of the people who do it. It's a really good course. Some of the teachers there are amazing, like absolute like comedy veterans from the scene. Like you don't realize, you're like, holy fuck, that's like way back in the day, and like stuff I used to watch when I was a kid or a teenager or whatever. Like Brad Oakes, he used to be on Hey Hey It's Saturday, and he's done heaps of stuff with everyone, knows everyone, and really nice guy, and gives really great advice. He's one of the coaches for it, and one of the teachers. And they basically teach you joke writing, how to perform, how to conduct yourself on stage. They do a whole heap of other stuff, but that's if you Google Hard Knock Knocks.
Yep.
Yeah, and if you're maybe a bit apprehensive and a bit scared going to an open mic because you may be scared of all the weird incel virgins that are there, and want to do it in a safer experience where you kind of get taught. It's like 5 nights a week.
Yeah, okay.
Do it at night.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you just Google it, you'll find it.
Yep.
Yeah, heaps of people have done it.
That wouldn't work for you? Going to a school to learn?
No, I don't think so.
No.
And yeah, I don't like being told what to do too much.
Me either. I did 6 months of uni. I was going to be an architect. Nope.
Yeah.
Not a chance. Nah, I just can't do it. And everything I've done ever since, every career I've ever selected after that, I've selected it because I didn't have to go and do school. I just can't do it. It's just not the way I learn at all. And there's definitely something... Man, you learn a lesson when you fuck up. Especially, like, publicly, you know what I mean? Like, if you go up and you tell a joke, and it's, like, dark, and the oxygen gets sucked out of the room, you'll remember that.
Oh, yeah,
Whereas
100%.
if you go into a school, and they're like, it's, like, here's the line, you probably forget it, and you'll probably push the line anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're out. Yeah, you go.
It's worth it though when you take the risk, because that's important. Like you got to push the boundary. And my favorite laughter is that cheeky. Ooh, we should be laughing at this.
Yep.
And then they get the bigger pops as well, not just the ha ha ha. Next one.
Yep.
And then you can feel it just going like. You just dropped a bomb in the room. Not like you're bombing, but you're just like, and just a big pop, and you're like, yeah.
So your hour, you said earlier, a lot of your style is storytelling. Is your hour predominantly storytelling, or are there some like quick setup punches, or?
Yeah, there's all different stuff because try and be a jack of all trades. So there's crowd work.
Okay.
One-liners, just simple, just jokes, setup, punchline. And then there's just some stories as well. So a bit of everything. So a bit of everything for everyone. Some dark shit as well. So yeah. And
how long did it take you? How long have you had this hour? How long did it take you to put that together?
November.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, it would have been like 10 months in.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah. And I'm still adding to it and like working things out. And there was a couple, because the first time it's all a learning experience.
Yeah.
Because the way I did it, because it's all I knew. Because that's why I love it, because it's constantly learning, constantly growing. And that's why I think I love it so much as well, because thinking about it, because I used to play music as well, like I used to play bass, I play guitar.
Yep.
But like with that, I don't have the patience, because I love metal and stuff. I can't shred, I just get chords or can play a few like simple riffs here or there.
Yep.
But with this, you can have an idea, and then you get instant feedback. Whereas if you're a band, you'll record an album for a year.
Yep.
And then it'll release, and it'll be that year to wait for that feedback to hear if it's good. Or if you do a painting and you're an artist, it might take you a month to 6 months, and then you hear the feedback.
So quick, isn't it?
Yeah, with us, we go up, we'll tell the joke, and then go like, the audience literally goes, "Oh, that's amazing!" Or, "Nah, that sucks. Try again." So then we get to so instant. I forgot where I was going with that.
Yeah, all right. How long do you reckon it takes for you to work out a joke? So you've got this idea, and you go up and you do it. How long do you think it takes you to build that idea out, and until it's a joke that you're happy for it to go into the hour?
Usually like probably 2 weeks.
I suppose it varies. It's a stupid question, but on average,
couple weeks, because then I'll just like for that 2 weeks I'll just keep doing it.
And you're doing it 4 to 6 times a week.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I can add different things and go like, oh, I worked here, didn't work here, and then work on pacing, timing, or I've even had where you restructure it.
Okay.
Just change it around.
So put it up higher in the set, or you take the joke?
Yeah, I restructure the joke, because with mine, I get a bit excited, and I notice instead of being linear and going, this is the events or the setup context in order, I find sometimes I go like, all right, we're over here, then we're over here, then we're over here, then we're over here. And sometimes that confuses the audience.
Yeah.
So you got to go, this happened here, this is the next part.
Sure.
And I find myself doing that, and I keep jumping back and forth, and I go, no, stay here, take that from over here, put it in the whole full setup in the context here, and then the rest of the context or the end of the joke.
Yep.
There.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, I get you.
Oh yeah, so the first time I did it, it wasn't like amazing, like it was alright. And like I'm still learning, so I've only done it twice. And some, like it sucks to say, like saying it on a spectrum, like it happens, and because there's cliques, there's groups, there's like because it's virtually like high school, basically in a sense, because some of the people like they talk shit behind your back.
Scene.
The scene. And it is what a lot of people don't get. It's a rat race at the end of the day. We all want to get to the top. We all want to be Dave Chappelle, Louis C.K., Jimmy Carr. Like
so do you
George
feel
Carlin.
like you're in competition?
Yeah, some of them don't get that.
Yeah, right.
But I've had feedback come to me, people going, oh, he's got an hour, he's probably not even that good for an hour, he's doing it too early. The only way to get better is if you do it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get an hour by doing 5 or 10 minute sets everywhere, like 4 to 6 times a week. The only way I can do an hour is if I do a couple.
Do you get nervous about remembering it?
I've cheated the first couple times because it's like I'm still new.
Cheat?
I just have like 2 pages of dot points, so it's just like 1 or 2 words for the joke, and then in order. But the first time I did it, I set it up like a 10-minute set, so I could do light, easy, fun stuff, bit cheeky at the start, build rapport and trust.
Yep.
And I did all my heavy, dark shit at the end. And by the end of it, because I got a bit like, everyone was a bit like,
yeah,
we're alive on this planet. And everyone kind of got freaked out or a bit depressed by the end of it. But yeah.
I've heard the hang is really good with other comics. So while everyone's up on the stage and afterwards, especially at Sellers, Abby was saying that you just go out and have a couple of beers out the front. Is it as good as people say? Yeah,
it is. It is good fun. Like you just riff. Like I enjoy it. A lot of the comedians, when you gig as much as like we do, like I see more of my family. So pretty much they are your second family at this point.
That's cool.
But yeah, like it is cool. Like Bendigo is awesome because normally I don't get to hang out too much because I don't drive because I'm a loser, baby. Yeah. So somebody kill me. But so normally I'm like, oh yeah, thanks for the spot, guys. I got to go home because I got work the next morning. Like I got to catch the train back. So I'm always like racing out to.
Sorry, I got lice.
No, yeah. But I'm always like racing out somewhere to like get home or like to the next gig or whatever. Yeah. So Bendigo was cool because we had an Airbnb and we actually got to like hang out and just talk shit and drink for like
comics Airbnb.
Yeah, till 3 in the morning.
I would not want to clean that up.
It wasn't too bad actually. Yeah, it wasn't too bad. It was just beer bottles everywhere. Like Drago, the guy that like organised it all. Him. Yeah. He just got absolutely fucking obliterated. He was in the bathroom for like an hour and a half being sick, I think. So
yeah. Actually, was that what he just posted about as his hangover?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that was the next morning.
Photo. Yeah. And I didn't realise that was with you. I've just put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah, he woke up and I don't know. I think he was like that drunk and that fucked. Like we could have helped him or whatever, but he was yeah, he still had his clothes on. I think he jumped in the shower. Whoops. So that's why he's like that photo has him in his undies the next morning.
I see, because his clothes are drenched.
Yeah, and he was trying to get his his pants to dry and his shoes.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. So, Bendigo's fucking far from Frankston. What's the benefit of going on the road and doing stuff like that? Is it to build your base? Is it to try new audiences?
New audience, different audience.
Yeah.
Just something different. Because you want to try and perform in different environments. Because if you're in the same areas, same crowds, same type of people, same demographics, same cities, you get comfortable, you get complacent, you get lazy. You always need something to push you, some adversity or something, the new angle, new stuff. You get new material, and like it was loose. There's one guy, and it was fucking hilarious because it's just country people, local small town or city or something, and there's this one guy, and he kept interrupting everyone's set because he's absolutely drunk. It's like his 70th birthday or something. And he'd just get up, pussy. He just couldn't speak because he was that blind. And then we're on stage going like, this guy needs to be cut off. What the fuck are you guys doing? Like, can the bar cut him off? And then the locals pipe in. They're like, oh, nah. Don doesn't get cut off.
Don doesn't.
Yeah. And you're like, what? And he's like, nah. He's a local, mate. Don doesn't get cut off.
That's great.
Yeah, and then he goes up and gets 2 more, like, bottles of sparkly and can barely stand.
Jeez.
Yeah, and it was hilarious. And he's just drunk, just some comedians on stage, and he just interrupts, just giving, like, Bendigo, Bogan, Donald Trump statements of how great his wife is and how much he loves. I love my wife. She's the best woman on earth. The only woman for me. I wouldn't have any other woman in my life. She's the best woman for me.
I was watching that dude speak on YouTube yesterday, and Trump, this is not Don from Bendigo, and the way he talks is intentionally to leave absolutely no air left. He will just continue to talk and make any point that comes to the front of his brain. It's so interesting. It's such an interesting way of talking, because he captures the audience though, doesn't he? Whether you like him or not. He's a very engaging speaker.
Yeah, obviously he is.
Yeah.
Like, you see how nuts they go for him, dude.
Man, and there's
it's like
more
Trump
of them
mania out there. Yeah.
There's more of them liking him at the moment.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah. So, yeah, he is a good public speaker. Like, he's good. But, yeah, it's pretty nuts. Like, yeah, I can't wrap my head around it, though, because his, like, voice and cadence does bug me, but it's just, he does captivate people. Yeah. So even at the end of the day, like, it sucks, but like, he's a piece of shit and did horrible things. But even like people like Hitler, Mussolini, Stalin, like all those people, like, there's a reason they rose to the top, bro. Yeah. they were good public speakers.
I think it's amphetamines. Have you seen the?
Have
you seen the footage of Hitler at the Olympics?
And he's tweaking. Yeah.
And he's like dude, fucking going nuts. And have you heard the one about he was supposed to meet with Mussolini, and he was like, I'm tired, and they just fucking drug him up and wheel him in front of Mussolini, and then they had a treaty after that.
You know, most of the German soldiers as well, they were on amphetamines. Yeah, that's how they took France in 3 days. They're like, oh yeah, we're just gonna do like the first stages of meth, and then run across France for 3 days alongside tanks. We're gonna call it the Blitzkrieg. Yeah, that's what we're doing. I have a joke about that as well. I'm just like dropping shit everywhere here, but like you don't realize that the German soldiers in World War II, they took methamphetamines. Yeah, I don't know about you, bro. Like, we live in Frankston. We see our junkies every day at the local train station. It's terrifying. It's like Mad Max out there, dude. Like, now imagine them as Nazis with machine guns. And a whole army of them coming to you. Yeah. No wonder why France fell in 3 days, dude. So would I. I'd be like, yeah, take the wife, take the kids, take fucking everything. I don't want fucking Nazi crackheads with machine guns coming after me, man. Like, nah.
Have you seen the scars on old Nazi high-up faces?
They used to scar their face or something, wasn't it? It was like a sign of honor or something? Or?
They would fight. They would do sword fighting, and they'd get... So basically, if you were covered in scars, it meant that you had done more... it was a specific type of sword fighting. I just heard this the other day. I can't remember now. Anyway, it's interesting, isn't it? Because, like, it was such an honour. And then, it's just to get, like,
because I think Goebbels had it as well. Yeah, there's a few of them.
Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, anyway, they suck. They're losers.
Yep.
Swastikas aren't cool. Nazis aren't cool. They're losers. It feels like you have to say that.
Yeah, I know, right?
Going like, oh, he's talking about Nazis a bit there. He knows a little bit too much. Just like,
I've got a girl that works for me. She's Jewish, and I brought up Hitler, and I wasn't. But she goes, "Are you one of these white guys that just knows far too much about Hitler?" Yeah. Should I be worried? Thought that was interesting. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm like that.
Yeah. History's interesting though, as a general rule.
Oh yeah, I find it fascinating, and there's so much about it, and like, because I was reading up on stuff and like watching some documentaries, and with the war in Palestine and Israel at the moment in the Middle East, you're like, oh, that was because of the end of World War II. You don't realise how much it's still tied in today.
Yeah. I know very little about that whole conflict. I know I've done minimal research, and I understand the historic significance of it. The Jews wanted somewhere to live. That's it. That is my full understanding of that conflict.
Because I think it used to be a German or Italian province. Don't quote me. I'm not a historian.
Yep.
I just watched a couple YouTube videos.
Yep.
But yeah. And the English took it over in 45, put all the Jews there, and then they kicked everyone else out, had the Gaza Strip or something. Yep. Some other shit went down with Egypt as well, and a whole heap of other stuff. But then I think by the late 49 or to 55, the English just dipped and just left. And then they're like, oh, yeah, you guys can deal with it yourselves. And then that's when, like, since then there's been conflict and stuff. So, yeah. Because the English, they kind of just feel like that kid that just, like, set shit up in high school.
Yep.
Just, like, setting up rumours, going like, oh, he was saying that about you. He said he was going to bash you. Oh, what are you going to do about that in lunchtime? And then they just sit back and go like, ooh. Just watch everyone just kick off. Like, because they're behind Hong Kong as well. And, yeah, like, yeah, so it's pretty nuts.
It is, isn't it? Do you think, do you think that drunk people, going back to Don, in the audience, they really, really can ruin a show and get in the way of the whole thing?
Yeah, that was an example of Bendigo. Like, there was a few of them.
Would you rather play for a dead sober audience, or a bit of a mix of like perfect?
I'd rather loose like that. Loose is more fun, and because you can get more out of them. And what happened as well?
More laughs, or when you do crowd work, you get more honest answers.
Yeah, there's Gavin Semple, this dude. He's from Paki at the moment. He's been doing it for ages, since he was 18. He's
Pakenham or Pakistan?
Pakenham.
Same place.
Yeah. I wouldn't say Paki, bro. I made that mistake because Friendly Geordies, his podcast, he's got a guy from Pakistan on there, and he just refers, because apparently I didn't realise it's like the N word, and he just goes like, oh yeah, I'm Paki, bro, blah blah blah. His name's Ali. He's a cool dude. Met him before. Awesome guy. He would say that all the time. And then at one of my old jobs, it was like a serious office job, there was a girl who came over from Pakistan, and then I was just making conversation with her, and I'm like, oh, have you had a chance to try any Paki food over here?
No.
Yeah, and then she's
She's
what?
like, I beg your pardon?
Yeah, and then I was like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, listen to this podcast, this guy says it, and he's Pakistani, and then he's like, no, and she's like, oh no, it's all cool, and I was just like,
yeah, right. Yeah, you definitely couldn't make that mistake with the N-word.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Have you tried any...
Chappelle said it on his new special, so I thought I could say it too. It's like, yeah, no.
Have you tried any food since you've been over here? Yeah, nah, dude.
Yeah. That all of a sudden became really not alright to say, the N-word. Because it was definitely a thing in the late 90s. Like, you listen to, like, even early Rogan podcasts.
Oh, yeah.
He just, like, will come out and say it, and it was culturally appropriate then. And then all of a sudden, overnight, if by, like it was like there was a storm, and then it was not okay. You could not say it any longer.
Yeah, I understand it. I'm
not saying it's... I'm not pro. I'm not saying, like, oh, let's bring it back. I'm not going to wear a t-shirt and a red hat next episode.
Yeah.
But... it's interesting.
Yeah. Nah. Like, I think it's because, like, back then, because, like, I feel like hip-hop's kind of died off. Like, it's not as big. Like, it's all emo mumble rap shit now. But back then, like, the late 90s, 2000, like, even the 90s, so you had, like, NWA, Tupac, Biggie, Nas, Wu-Tang, like, all these awesome hip-hop groups. And they would say every second word. Yep. Snoop Dogg, Dre, all of them. Early 2000s, like, 50 Cent, Jay-Z... Kanye, like all these other guys as well, and and it was that, and that's what everyone was listening to.
Yep.
And then so it's kind of like, if you hear it enough, but now it's petered off. Everyone loves all that throwback stuff. Like, I like old school hip hop as well, but
it's good shit.
Yeah. But and I think it's petered off, going like, it's probably not cool.
Yep.
Because, like, if you're not comfortable saying it to someone, or saying it with, like, a black person in front of you, like, you probably shouldn't be, like...
I've got a mate who's black, and I probably wouldn't say it.
Yeah.
And we get along quite well.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, like, I get it. But, like, as long as you sing it in your car...
Yeah. On your own with the windows up.
Yeah.
Doors locked.
Yeah. And you're all good.
Yeah.
Not when you're in Dandenong, and then someone cuts you off in traffic, and you're like...
Yes.
That's not a cool thing to say.
No, not at all.
Yeah, but nah.
So you've just started a podcast too?
Yeah, the Cooked Units podcast with me and my mate Lockie. He does MMA.
Oh, fuck
cool dude. Yeah,
good on him.
Yeah, so
he looked like a built rig.
Yeah. So he's a solid unit. We've been best mates since we were like 15, 16 when we were working at Macca's together down in Rosebud. We've always just had a fucked ass sense of humour and just talked absolute garbage and and been mates since then. And he dabbles in stand-up as well. Like, he doesn't do it as much as me, but because he's like busy fighting and training all the time. But yeah, we just talk about fuck that shit. We've got some exciting ideas coming along. Trying to record more vids. It's a bit underground. Like I just record it on my phone. So
That's
it's not
cool.
a full setup like
Man,
this.
this wasn't a full setup for a really long time. The first episode, I had this bin turned upside down. I put my laptop on it and I plugged a USB mic in. I was like, I'm just gonna go. And it was like that for a really, really long time. The only reason I started doing all this is it was taking me like 8 hours to edit one video. Whereas, so this, I keep touching this. This is a video switcher. So you see that screen over there? So it records straight into a hard drive, and it means I don't have to post-produce this.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
it just does it. That's the only reason I did this.
That's sick.
Because I was literally lazy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I need to get something like that. Yeah,
But the whole, like, just starting. Is, yeah. It's like stand-up, like you said earlier. Like, just go.
Yeah,
like, rip the Band-Aid off and begin.
Yeah. And that's like, we recorded all through last year, and I was a bit lazy with it and had tech issues, and like it took me a bit to work my head around it. And then it was my housemate. It was like, dude, I see you recording them all the time. You haven't posted one. Just fucking post one. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just went and did it. And I've got another thing that I'm recording it this weekend. Like, I'm cool to mention it now. And it's because, like, a lot of people, I put up clips. I've done a few skits and stuff on Instagram. I'm going to be doing more stuff like that. More stand-up clips if I can, if it's decent quality. But another idea I've got, because there's a few vids, and this is also what kind of helped me get into stand-up as well, because the Inspired Unemployed, they've got their beer called Better Beer, and they do these competitions all the time. And it was just the most nuts, crazy one. I didn't win any of them. But they were getting people to do whatever they can, the most crazy nuts videos saying, like, day for it or whatever.
Ah, yeah.
And I literally just recorded myself around Melbourne in my undies just with a can of Better Beer going, day for it. Yeah. And, like, a lot of people loved it and they thought it was fucking hilarious. I'm like, well, if I can do that, I can do stand-up. And a lot of the guys that are in stand-up, they do a lot of the same stuff. And if you want to get ahead of that rat race or be noticed or be different, because everyone's posting clips that are filmed from a phone, or some of them might be a bit better. Some people get views, some people don't. But what I'm going to do, I'm launching this new, I call it a web series, but I feel like that's daggy. But you know, this will sound weird from the start. You know OnlyFans?
Yes.
So with OnlyFans...
I mean, no, what?
No, honey, I do not have an account.
Hi, Mum.
Yeah, so there's... so for OnlyFans, it's this subscription platform where chicks, you'll pay, you get to see the nudes, maybe some more, not nude, but lewd photos or a bit more intimate.
Is
and
that
it's subscription based.
Is that where you're going to...
So for men...
advertising that for yourself?
No, I'm not doing that. No one... They'll pay me to keep my clothes on. They don't want... Yeah. They'll,
you start naked and they pay you more and you keep putting more clothes back on.
Yeah, that's it. But there's not really... There's a few guys that do it for, like, gay guys or, like, horny chicks. But there's enough dick pics going around. You don't have to fucking stone throw and just like, oh, there's one over there. Like, this is not hard to find. But there's not really male
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. There's not really a male equivalent, is there? So this is where I've come up with this idea from that, doing the crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I'm launching this series that I'm going to be doing on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and stuff, doing content king. It's called Only Dares. So if you transfer me $10 on PayPal,
fuck.
and then you can give me any dare that you want me to do, just as long as it's not incriminating, seriously, like risk of death or like serious injury, or not in like anyone's space, getting up in anyone's grill, being like too annoying or offensive or anything like that. Like I'm not gonna. Like
you've just monetized your lack of fear.
Yeah, I know. That's like, yeah. So I'm like, I'll literally do it, and then pay me $10 and give it to me, and then say what you want me to do, and then I'll do it. Record a video, and then put it. And it's great because it'll give the viewer or consumer a choice, or they feel like they're interacting. Yeah. So then they can see what they want me to do, and then I'll go and do it. Yeah, but still, if you're on there and you've seen this or seen the video, and you transfer me $10 and it's something dumb. You say like, oh yeah, I want you to go like dress up as a terrorist or whatever, or a Hamas member and run into a synagogue. I'm gonna take your $10 and fuck you. Yeah, so,
I reckon.
Yeah, if you're gonna say some dumb shit like that, So if you send me any dumb shit,
that's the shit that starts wars.
Yeah.
So you can imagine that, like local Frankston comedian starts World War III with fucking dare. Yeah.
Nah, I wouldn't do anything like that. So the first one, I'll hopefully record it today. Yeah. It's called the chili fish flour. It's one my housemate's given me, and then we'll
we were cheating a bit because we had to like brainstorm it, and he just gave me a couple ideas. I'm like, all right, we'll build on it, because going from Mr. Beast and content and stuff, you gotta like, I hate talking about this stuff because I feel like an influencer's so lame.
I get ya.
Yeah.
But it's like it's that or go in the SBS world.
Yeah. That's
Which
what I mean.
one do you want?
And because I love Jackass, and it's that sort of stuff. And then like with me running around in my undies, going like, all right, what other stuff? And I've done other shit. I even did it in lockdown. I did. There's this group, I forgot what they're called, but I did mullets for mental health.
Okay.
And I wasn't moving much money because people were tight for cash, and I'm like, I'm bored at home. How can I make this fun? And I just did like, donate $10 and I'll do it there. And that's where I kind of got the idea, going like, oh, I can do that
Did it
again.
work?
Yeah, I got a few.
Got
Like
some
people
money?
got me to do the cinnamon challenge. My mate, because I'm good at impressions, got me to do like a minute video of me doing like a Gollum impression.
Yep.
In my undies, and then put it up.
Yep.
I also, like, another one was like I had to do like 10 shots of Jaeger and some other stuff as well. And like, I didn't put the one of Jaeger up because I got about 6 in and I was fucked.
Yeah,
But like, I still did it.
Yep.
I just sent it to my mate. I'm like, this isn't good for the internet.
Oh, over what period of time?
Like, he just wanted me to line
Like
up
immediately.
10. Yeah, and that's why I got to 6, and I was like,
Yeah, I bet.
yeah.
Shit.
So, and I love doing Jackass.
And you did that for $10.
Yeah.
It's probably more than $10 worth of grog there.
Oh,
The
yeah.
bottle was probably $40.
I had a bottle of
Yeah, I
Jamo.
know, anyway.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and it was for charity. It was for good cause. So it's for
okay.
raising
Yep.
awareness for men's mental health and stuff like that.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
So yeah, that's gonna be a thing coming out soon. Shortly.
That's sick.
So yeah,
Yeah, I like that.
it's gonna be fun. And
Yep.
yeah, and I've got 2 more solo shows coming up as well. So I've got one on the 18th at Club Voltaire at 6 p.m. 18th of Feb.
Yep.
And then I've also got another one on the 7th of March at Dirty Secrets. So and that's Problem
That's
Child, my solo show.
Yeah, and that's where they do the gong show.
Yeah.
Have you done that?
Yeah, I used to be real anxious about it, but I'm all right with it now.
Okay.
Yeah,
man. I've thought about it and gone like, that sounds fucking. Have you ever seen Kill Tony?
Yeah, I love
It sounds like
Kill Tony. I watch it every week.
It's
yeah,
different, but it sounds like Kill Tony.
It is like that.
Mm.
If you get good judges on there, it's kind of like Kill Tony as well,
Sure.
where some of the judges will actually give you feedback and like constructive criticism,
Yep.
and then some of the other judges, they just roast the shit out of you, which is like, it's cool. Like,
Yep.
is what it is.
Yep.
But what's funny is because I had an experiment and I wanted to try an experiment. So I was actually on a lineup at Dirty on the Thursday, and then I did the Gong Show this past Sunday, and then I was like, oh, I want to try something here. So I did virtually the same set from Thursday. Took a couple jokes out because you only get like 3.5 minutes, and it was because it was some new stuff I was working on as well, and I basically bombed.
Bugger.
on the
Yeah.
Gong Show. Did really well at the Dirty Secrets show on the Thursday, but pretty full room.
Yep.
Basically bombed on the Gong Show. No one gonged me. I was like 2nd or 3rd or something.
Okay.
But it kind of shows, and because it's different, because the audience, I think they, instead of being an audience to sit there and laugh, they go in their brain and go like, oh, we're critics here. We get to judge. Is this good? Or
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So when you say get gong, so for someone who's listening and they have no idea what this is, because I think like 80% of my audience aren't necessarily like diehard comedy fans.
Oh, yeah.
So how does it work?
So each comedian gets 3.5 minutes. They try and cap it at about 15 acts so they can roll through it.
Yep.
And while the comedian's on stage, the audience, they hand out wooden spoons and spread it around.
Yep.
And then there's, if you get 3 wooden spoons in your 3.5 minutes in the air, they hit a gong and kick you off the stage.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
So yeah, and it's kind of good because it puts pressure under you going like, all right, you got to be good, got to be shit hot. Like you can't be, and there's been times where I've been unprepared and just didn't mentally prepare enough for it, and then was like flubbing through it, and then and then they'll just like, get off.
Yep.
And you're like, yeah, you didn't bring your A game today, and then you kind of think, go like, all right, yeah, I've got to be more prepared. Like, can't be half-assing it, if you know what I mean.
Have you ever been up with no material as like an experiment and gone like, I've got like a couple of bits and pieces I suppose I could do. I've got my opening joke. Have you ever thought about that or?
Nah, because I just go
It'd
off
just
the
be a
rails.
disaster. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
because there was a while where I wouldn't go up. I've just gotten back into the habit of it because I used to write on my hand a bit, and I'm trying to get out of the habit of doing that. And I was up there didn't have any notes or anything.
Sure.
And then I forgot all my jokes, and then I just went complete
Sensational.
fucking
Yeah.
sideways, and then
Yeah.
it didn't end well.
Yeah.
Because I was just trying to tell other jokes or other stories, and everyone was just like, oh, no, fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, all right, you need to stay course.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then it's just like, I'll just have a random thought that'll pop in my head. And
Yeah, okay. Yeah, cool. Do you want another beer?
yeah, I've another.
Yeah, okay. Do you drink on stage?
Sometimes. I'm trying to stop a bit, because, yeah, it's expensive.
Yeah. That.
I've been plastered on stage before by
Really?
accident.
How'd that go for you?
Felt like I was in 8 Mile.
Yeah, right.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, you know when he like gets up there and he gets real nervous and the crowd goes like,
Yeah.
and then you can hear the feedback in the mic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had that.
Yeah,
So I had I don't think I ate enough dinner or something, because like, you know when you drink,
Yeah.
you can have like 3 beers and then you're like, ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like something with your blood pressure, or you haven't had enough water, or
Yeah.
haven't eaten enough. I had something like that and had 3 pints. And then I got up there and I was like, ooh. And I even said straight away, I'm like, I've drunk too much for this.
Yeah, right. Fuck.
It wasn't bad, but I was obviously like had a heavy tongue and I was a bit
Yeah. I didn't drink when I did my set because I knew if I did drink, I will drink every time. And I'm...
That's good as well. I'm
Yeah.
trying to get out of the habit of that as well.
Yep.
Because I find, because it kind of almost became like liquid courage.
Correct.
So I would have nerves and things like that.
Yeah.
And I felt like I needed to
Yep.
have that, or a couple. And I was realising like, yeah, it's probably not the best.
Back to that podcast with old mate. What's his face?
Lockie Martin?
No, the tall bloke with the big fucking frying pan chin. What's his name? Tony Robbins.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't he talking about every morning he does like this like same process and it becomes
Yeah.
Yeah, well if drinking becomes part of your thing and that's how you get up on stage.
It's almost like a placebo effect
yeah,
or
and
something.
if you're going
like you're
up
like
4 to 6 nights a week.
Yeah. Yeah, and it
Your
got
fucking liver, your career is going to be real short.
yeah, like I wouldn't get fucking maggoted every time, but like I would have one or two or something.
Do you have an off switch?
For what?
Drink.
Oh yeah. No, I've been through that, dude. Like
I
yeah,
absolutely 100% do not have an off switch. If I have, if I famously, if I have one beer, it's 7.
Oh, okay.
I can't have 2 beers, so I've cut myself off completely. This
Nah.
year, I'm not drinking because
Nah.
it's an issue.
No,
I'm
I
in
had
recovery.
to like during in the lockdown, because it became bad then, and there was a few
Yeah.
times where like shit got a bit wild and like had stuff from like either childhood or like mental health stuff in the background.
Yep.
And this is why like I don't like I went sober for a bit in lockdown because just shit was getting gnarly. And yeah, I was talking to my psychologist about it, and she was saying like, oh Caleb, like sometimes in life we'll have like underlying issues in our psyche, but then when we drink it'll amplify them. And I'm like, oh, that makes sense.
Interesting.
Because when I'm sober, I'm a bit of a fuckhead.
Yeah.
But when I drink, massive fuckhead. So I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Shit.
So, yeah. You gotta... Yeah, that's why I had to get on top of it. So, but like, for beers, it's like, if it's something easy to drink, like your 196s or like premix. Like mine used to be like Jack and Coke or like, yeah, Bundy and rum or whatever. That stuff's lethal, man. It's like UFC in a can, waiting to happen. Like it's brutal.
I'll have anything and everything in the greatest amount of quantity that you can. And my problem is, I see it as a challenge. I don't know where I got this from, but like I'm gonna conquer all these beers.
Yeah. No, I've had mates like that, and it's I don't know, like not anything from you. It's psychoanalyzing someone I just met like an hour ago.
Yeah,
But,
sure.
like,
yeah.
I've had mates like that, and it's almost like for them, like they were a weak. Like they were a lightweight, like weak drinker, but they had to keep up with everyone else, or even with like drugs and stuff. So they might have MDMA or weed, but they were like, "Oh, I have to smoke as much as everyone else or more because I want to show that I can do it." But then, just completely write themselves off.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, and man, that's what I was doing.
Yeah,
like literally, and it was like it was getting like. It was bad. So the final thing was New Year's. Yeah, I had like a pretty steady night. 6-7 beers, which is pretty normal for New Year's. That's fine. Over 5 hours. So I was a bit saucy, but that was alright. And then, so everyone started to leave, and my core group of mates stayed. And we were just sitting around the fire in the backyard, and my wife went to bed, and the kid went to bed, and I drank 2 bottles of wine in 1 hour. Gone. Yeah. And I woke up the next morning and I was like, I don't know why. I don't remember deciding I was going to do that. But I remember just thinking, wouldn't it be funny if I put this volume of liquid into me? And then it was gone and I felt fine. I felt like good because I drank a bottle of wine in 15 minutes. So it hadn't hit yet. But I was feeling like buzzy and I was like, let's go, motherfuckers. And then I put the second... Did I just eat shit?
No, it just flipped into my face while I was moving it.
And then I put the second one into me. And then I woke up the next morning and I was like... There's something wrong here. Like, this is not good. It's not fun for anyone around me. It's fun for me. It's not fun for anyone around me. And it's not good for my liver. And it's actually counterproductive. Like, I do a lot of stuff. I do this podcast. I run a business.
You have a kid?
I've got a kid. I'm trying really hard to carve out time to actually have a stand-up career. And that is going to require nights a week. Not a month. Not like 1 night a month. It's going to require... If I'm going to do this, I need to do this. And you can't be half pregnant about that either. Because... And from all my research and all my conversations I've had with people, stand-up, getting up on stage is like going to the gym. If you go to the gym once a month, how fit are you going to be?
Yeah.
Not very fit.
I even feel it if, I haven't been booked for a gig for a little while. Like, it might be a week or something.
Yeah.
In between, or, 8 days. I feel rusty getting back into it. And it's like the gym. Even though I'm not really, a spokesperson for the gym. But, you feel rusty. And you're like, I haven't done it for a little bit. But, and you don't feel as comfortable. But, you just gotta do it. And, it's interesting with, substances and drugs, whether it's alcohol or whatever it might be. It's fun and it's great, but it's like anything. You got to do it in a healthy amount and a healthy environment.
Yep.
And there's a lot of people with being a father. I don't have kids, but there's some people.
Know of.
Yeah, definitely not.
Yes.
If they're out there, you're not getting anything.
No.
But they. Yeah, so it's interesting because a lot of people I grew up with, there's a few people that had kids quite early, at 20, 21, down there, and then you just see they would still have people over every weekend, and they were still getting plastered, doing drugs and doing all this shit, and you're like, this isn't a good environment to be in. And I've been in workplaces where I've had older people, and they had party lifestyle, they love getting fucked up, and then even their partners, but they're always one of us has got to be functional, or one of us we'll work out, get a babysitter.
You have a designated responsible person.
Yeah, because you, what if something happens? We need to take our kid to the hospital. Or
Yeah, no. Yeah, it was... No. I heard someone say the other day that, addicts steal from themselves.
Yeah.
So I was stealing my time. So it's been, fucking 20 days of no drinking now. My productivity has gone from... I was a pretty productive guy. I was doing a lot, but I was doing everything at half pace. And now, it's just fucking soared. Every single thing I do has started to go significantly. My YouTube channel is actually growing. I picked up 30 new subscribers in the last 2 weeks.
Oh, awesome.
Just because, I'm posting. I'm really, And I wasn't posting at all. I was doing 0 YouTube shorts. I'd completely take my hand off the wheel. I'd come in here, do this podcast, and to be honest with you, half the reason was because I just had my mates on and we'd have a sesh. And there was an episode of this podcast where I reckon I had 20 drinks in 3 hours.
Oh,
just
Jesus.
fucking put them away. And it's embarrassing. I've listened to the episode. By the end, I'm a maggot. You can't understand what I'm saying. I'm going around in circles, and I'm like, man, if I'm going to come out here and drink every episode, this thing's not going to go anywhere. No one wants to just sit there and listen to 3 hours of me fucking ramble on pissed while 2 other blokes are sitting there half cut going, should we stop him? It's just a mess. But yeah, no.
So the deal with Pauline Hanson
Look, she had some good ideas. Man. But since being off that, I've just had a much clearer mind.
Yeah, that's good, man. Everyone's got their poison. For me, it's been a bit different because, getting a bit personal here, both, my biological dad, who's never been in the picture, I know he suffers from, real bad substance abuse, just massive heroin junkie.
Yeah, right.
Living off the dole, doing all that stuff. yeah, and I've always had that in the back of my mind. And then even my mum, she probably won't like me saying this on here, has had issues with substances back in the day, and because she had me quite young, at like 17, 18. And that's always been in the back of my mind. And it wasn't because I thought I was okay with alcohol, and I wasn't even like getting plastered all the time. It'd just be I'd drink, and then I'd just get angry and stuff, and then just start like...
Me too.
It would just like get released. Yeah, and it's because you have all that stuff, and you need to deal with it somewhere.
Yep.
And you have to get it out.
How do you get it out?
Yeah.
How do you get it out?
I think stand-up at the moment.
Yep.
And it's just like... And just, you let it go. Like, you don't get angry. Like, I took people out of my life. I feel a lot happier, a lot more free, change jobs.
It's good.
Yeah, I don't have shit. And I just push, like, the bullshit back and just go, no, don't let it get to you. But yeah, and that's why, like, I try and stay away from drugs and stuff. But like I said, everyone's got their poison and what'll fuck them up. But it's just where you got to know what it is and how to deal with it or how to cope it and get on top of it.
It's good.
It's real serious stuff. Because, like, it's difficult. It is. I understand that.
Absolutely. I think the first step, this is very obvious advice, but stop lying to yourself.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
There's, like, people I know, and they're just, like, master manipulators, and they're very either conniving, or what's the word? Like, I'm trying to think. Like, there's a word. They'll justify their actions. And they'll say, oh, I had a tough week at work, so I had a few extra cans, or...
Yeah.
Like, oh, I needed to let loose. Oh, I'm stressed at the moment, or I'm going through family stuff, or whatever it is. But yeah, you don't realise
they're lying to themselves.
Yeah, or whatever it is. And yeah, you gotta make sure you're on top of it, because yeah, it'll take away from you, and you'll have opportunities or things in life where you'll miss the boat. Where that's why you gotta make sure you choose your passion, choose what you're doing, make sure you live life.
I've made a mess of my career drinking as well. So I left a job, and I was in real estate, which is a really fucking incestuous. Everyone knows everyone, and basically I was working at this really prestigious agency, and then I left land and I went into built form. So I went and worked for Burbank. You know Burbank?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Like Metricon.
Yeah,
I went in that side of the industry. I'm not doing that anymore, thank God. But basically, I was smashed, and I met someone who knew the silent partner in the business that I work for, and I called him a cunt. And it got back to him. And then I tried to go for a job there 2 years later, and I didn't know I'd said it. And 2 years, he knew, and I didn't know I'd said this. And but you can just make a fucking mess of your career drinking at parties and stuff like that.
Like, sometimes it works out for them.
I've had some fun. Had some good times. But
I had one. I got fired last year. I got fired from a range of jobs, just having shit going on, just trying new stuff.
Yep.
Did work out for me, but ended up working in another place where it was absolute like BS. Place I'm at now, I absolutely love. Don't want to change or move or anything.
Yep.
But there was this area manager, and he was an absolute piece of shit. Like, he was a wog, so every day he'd be like, oh yeah bro, can you like unstack that box, put that over there, yeah, take the pallets from the back, help with the boys on the dock, yeah, sick, yeah. But then you'd walk in, that's him talking normally.
Sure.
You'd walk in the morning, and because he was a cunt, he would really patronise you, but he would try and get away with things. So if you ever pulled him up on anything for like legal HR harassment or anything like that, he'd be really patronising and super nice. So he'd get away, and he's like, no, I greet them every day, I'm real nice. But you'd walk in, and he'd be like, hey buddy, how are you today? And you're like, so I was in a bad...
Scum.
I hate people like that, and hate being talking to like that.
People like that too.
Yeah, and I walked in one day and just looked at him and went, you fucking right, cunt.
Yeah, fair enough too.
Because I wasn't having a good morning, just woke up on the
fair
right side
enough.
of the bed.
Good on you as well.
Yeah.
That is my 100%. The thing that will get me so fucking angry is anyone in a middle management position that is taking their shit life choices out on the people that work for them. Fucking settle down. You're just a middle manager. Settle down.
Yeah. And that's what happened. And then the next day they're like, I got fired.
Right. No, good on you. Good on you. That is the best fucking swan song I've ever heard in my life. That's great.
I've got a couple, bro.
Yeah.
There was one that was working at this place.
It also doesn't help that you're a comedian, so your brain just goes, Yeah, how do I make this for... Like...
I didn't even think. It just came out.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
I had another one. This one I was more careful about because we were in the middle of lockdown.
Yeah.
I was working for this company that sold electronics.
Yep.
And I had the boss who was like a small man syndrome and just had to be on
Gotcha.
top of everything.
Yep.
And just, same thing, super patronizing, was an absolute piece of shit. And I was dating one of the girls that worked there. And no one knew. We kept it secret because we didn't want anyone to know.
Sure.
Heaps of
Fair
work
enough.
gossip.
Yeah.
But they were doing these COVID protocols where they were like, all right, we've got team A, team B. And I'm like, oh, right, I'm on team A, she's on team B. I'll do the right thing and let them know because we're staying at each other's houses. So, like, if someone got it on one team, chances are someone else would get it on the other team and the whole place would fall down. Hindsight, I probably should have just bit the bullet. And then just like, but I ended up telling him and saying like, oh, just so you know, me and so-and-so, we're seeing each other at the moment. Thought I wanted to do the right thing. We'll just need to swap someone on the teams just so it works better. And then so we don't bring the whole store down.
So it doesn't defeat the purpose of the entire thing.
Yeah, and just me trying to be considerate. And I had my manager in just to see it because it's good to have a witness.
Yeah.
Anyone watching, anytime you have a meeting with a manager or anything like that, you're allowed one witness. Just like work safety protocols or work like, what is it, like HR protocols.
Yeah.
You can have that. And it's good just to have a witness. And he's real confused. And because like, I was punching.
Yep.
This girl was fucking hot as.
Yep.
I know that.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy, what was funny, he used to flirt with her all the time and all
No.
the girls. Yeah, because they didn't know.
No.
Yeah, and because he used to think he was a ladies' man. Like, he'd let the girls get away with murder, let them leave work early, do all this shit. And, like, yeah, just because he was a simp, because they would all be nice to him, because, and they knew that they would get away with murder. And he's real confused, just looking around, just like, fucking... And I said to my manager, I'm like, what's going on? Like, why is he acting like this? And he's like, oh, he's just confused or something. And I'm like, why are you like that? And he looks up and he's like, oh, didn't know you nailed it. I'm like, you fucking... Well, I didn't say anything because in lockdown, because I'm like, at that point, it's very hard to get work because everyone's shut down. There's no work. And I just sit there. My whole stomach flips and I'm like, you are one of the worst fucking human beings in existence that I've ever encountered. You make me feel physically ill. One, you talked about my girlfriend at the time like that.
Yeah.
And one of your female co-workers. And I get it. He's trying to be one of the boys. Like, oh yeah, can't believe you hit that, bro. Yeah. But you're not my mate. You're my fucking
He's just
boss.
insecure.
Yeah. And I guess jealousy as well.
Yeah.
And then he's also saying to me, just like, oh, you're punching. How the fuck did you get that?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, yeah.
That's fucked.
Yeah, I was
That
so
level
fucking
is
angry.
fucked.
And then towards the end, when we, because I was there for those 2 years and the lockdowns and in and out. And because he's such a piece of shit, he would do things like, on the day, he'd tell us, go like, oh, we're doing a 12-hour day. And you're like, oh, I'm having dinner with my family.
We're doing a 12-hour day.
Yeah, and there'd be people...
Are we now?
Yeah.
What?
And you'd have to give them... You're meant to give them, like, a week's notice. And everyone just, like... Because they're so used to the system and just, like, they begrudgingly just retail bullshit. Yes, sir. No, sir. 3 bags full, sir. There's people that work there and they're like, my kid's got after-school care.
Yeah.
I'm picking them up at 7 or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they're like, I have to go. I can't just leave my kid there.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck's going on? And then he's, oh, yeah, you guys can go. And just because, like, there's all these bullshit jobs. There's always a better job. You can find something. You're worth more. Don't give into this
100%.
bullshit. Join a union. Don't deal with this bullshit. There's a retail union. Join a union. All these people are fucking scum of the earth. And
on that point, I don't want to interrupt you, but someone once said to me, what is the value of your peace of mind?
Yeah.
Like, whatever you're getting paid an hour, if you're getting mistreated, if you're getting paid, let's say it's $30 an hour, which is comparably high. Let's say it's $24 an hour, for a normal job. If you're getting treated like shit, you're willing to, like, prostitute yourself, essentially. You're doing yourself find something else.
Yeah, there's always something better.
Yeah.
And I remember, because it was the week 2021, the last lockdown, saying, blah, 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 we're opening up, blah, 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 everything's open. And he just didn't roster anyone on or tell us when we're working. And then he's like, oh, you're doing 12-hour days.
Yep.
And I'm like, fucking, do we know who's doing the earlies? Do we know who's doing the lates? And he's like, oh, yeah, I'll figure it out. Just didn't do it. And then he finally put it out the day before. And I just told him, like, nah, I'm not doing it. And I said to him, like, my mental health is really bad after lockdown, which was true because I was going through shit. And he and I said, I'm only comfortable working 9 hours. I'm not doing 12 hours. I can't do it. He's like, what? And like, to be fair, he did pay us full wage through the lockdown, but because we're full time, and he was trying to play it like, oh, I did this for you, and it's like, no, you're legally required to, cunt. You don't have to. You didn't do fucking any extras. You were legally required. I signed that contract. You signed that contract. I'm legally required to be here 38 hours a week. I do that week in, week out. And in the lockdown in that situation, because unfortunately there's not enough work or business going on, you still have to pay me full time for when we open up as well to keep me on. And and then I said that to him and had an altercation, and then I had my letter of resignation and just handed it to him, and he absolutely fucking flipped his shit. And he also cracked it because I pulled it up in front of everyone, just saying like, no, I'm not doing it. And then everyone was like, oh, what? He's fighting it back against the system? And then... Yeah, it was nuts. It was pretty hectic.
That small man syndrome so much.
And just thinking he can control and.
Yeah. Was it his business or was he just the manager?
He was a franchise owner.
Okay.
So you buy into the business.
Yep.
Yeah, and then run it.
Sure.
Yeah, and I was thinking like, and what happened was because I was talking to all the staff. So because he got so angry, he walked me out because he couldn't handle someone telling him no and just that. Paid me my full 2 weeks, got all my leave paid out and everything.
Yep.
Because I handed in my resignation. I said I'll do 2 weeks and then finish out. But he's like, no, kicked me out straight away.
Yep.
So, it's worth standing up for yourself. And that also gave me more courage to do stand-up because I was always...
How do you feel now?
I feel free. I'm sort of like the best that I've ever been. I've realised...
but if you hadn't have stood up for yourself...
Oh, I'd still be doing that job. And there's people that have been there for 20 years just doing it going, yes, sir, no, sir. And they have really bad depression, like... I know we were talking about how opening up and stuff, but like I've had it for a while. I've been to therapy. I'm medicated now, and I'm the best I've been in fucking ages. I'm doing what I love. Like it got to the point where like I could almost not wake up, and I didn't realize this.
Sucks.
Where I thought it was allergies, where my eyes were just irritated being open, where like my eyelids and around my eyes were just itchy and painful and all irritated. My eyes were bright red, and I started taking the medication and. That slowly went away. I'm like, what? I'd know it, but it was just because my whole system from like what I experienced growing up or just the things going up in here and it's these things that you have to go through, these challenges and these adversities that you have to fight to get through to find yourself and find purpose. Like my body was just in battle in itself.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. And I find it like if you're going through stuff, get help. Yep. Seek help. Talk to your mates. There's a lot of stigmas with mental health and things like this, and I talk about it in my stand-up set, and we were talking about it before, where I hate it when people trauma dump, because I think we've got enough going on. So if it's a random stranger, you don't know what they're going through, they don't know what you're going through, you don't need to dump it on some random that you just met at a bar going like, oh, this happened to me when I was a kid, blah, 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 I'm autistic, depressed, ADHD, blah, 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 bipolar. Like, don't just dump it on some unwilling stranger. But talk to your mates about it, get help if you need to get medicated. Because what's really scary is, because literally, it was the chemical imbalance in my brain was, like, shutting down and scaring itself. Where, like, I would be in bed, laying in bed for fucking ages and days. And this is, like, I had this for years and didn't know. And I just couldn't get better. And there was times where I couldn't even do stand-up as much because I was just, like, not in the headspace and couldn't do it or wasn't as switched on. And yeah, and it's scary because it was literally my brain was shutting itself down and getting bad messages in my head and going like, my brain was like trying to shut itself down and kill itself. Like, and if I didn't, because every day was just like that, just opening my eyes was agitating and irritating. So if I didn't get help or seek the medication or go and look out for that, that's unfortunate how people unfortunately take their lives. And it's real bad for men because they seem like they're weak for going out and getting that mental health or other people and they don't seek it. And I think people need to go and seek help and go out there.
That's good. I like that.
So yeah,
that's really good.
So yeah, mental health's a big one. And like with what Tony Robbins was talking about with the energy, and I do it before I go on stage, because like I might have nervous, not like butterflies, but jitters or a bit like unsure of myself, and because it's hard when you're at an open mic. It's not like a professional gig. You don't get a green room where you can sit there and chill and just go over your notes and go. I close my eyes and I envision, and I just remind myself and just talk to myself and just say, like, they're here to have a laugh. They're here to have fun. Have fun. Just put yourself in a mental headspace where, like, you were with your mates just having a laugh and having a good time.
That's good.
Because I've noticed the difference when I'm on stage and I haven't done that. The gig doesn't go as well. And then when I've done that, the gig goes 100 times better. And I have more fun. I'm more loose. I'm like, yeah, let's do this. So the guy like, oh, yeah, what do you do for work?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's energy is so important like that. And you got to think of the energy around people that you invite into your life.
I really agree. I absolutely agree.
Mm.
And like even little things like having people in your home, you feel the energy. Like we'll have someone over for dinner, and when you just click with someone, yeah, it's important, and it's important to have positive energy in your life as well. I find we've got these two great friends we recently met, and anytime we spend time with them, our week is better as a result.
Yeah.
Like, we'll just have fucking wood fire pizza night. We've got a wood fire pizza oven off Marketplace, and we just fire that up, and we just have an awesome night. And I'm noticeably better the week after as a result, just from that. So I get what you mean, and I think the energy thing is important.
Yeah, and even with that energy thing, like, it probably sounds bad, but like, it's kind of that self-critiquing or self-help, and because people just float through life, do whatever. And I find after having bad experiences with hanging out with people that either aren't good for me or like aren't good to be around because they don't have good energy.
Yeah.
When I'm around friends now, because I'm always like hanging out for a gig, like I'm always like, I want to do this. Like, I'll do it anytime I'm free. I'll just go like, I'll do it. And because it's fun, you get to see your comedian mates, you get to make people laugh, and it's an awesome feeling, and you want to go and do that.
Yeah.
But like, I ask myself after seeing friends, and sometimes in a group, and you walk away and you go, like, did I? Mm-hmm. Or even when it's good, I ask myself, what did I get from this interaction?
Yep.
Did I learn anything or anything good from it? Or did I walk away feeling like I think I would have been better off going to a gig?
Yep.
So now I'm like, you have to be selective with your time. Yep. And because time goes so quick, like, it's a year in.
That's awesome.
Like my career. And it's nuts. It just went like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy. I just remembered something else I wanted to talk about.
Please,
as well.
yeah.
Yeah, how long do you go for these things? Is it just fucking whenever?
It's just whenever. So I did one the other day that was half an hour. I did one... I did close to 4 hours the other day.
Oh, Jesus.
It's just whatever. I'm trying to keep it less than 3 hours at the moment. Literally because... Sorry?
Or keep engagement stuff like that in? Or like...
No, I'm not that worried about that.
Yeah.
Literally, I feed these episodes into an AI machine that cuts them up into 30... YouTube shorts. That's why I have so many YouTube shorts. I don't do it. AI
all right, we can talk after this.
I'll show you. But literally, it won't take anything more than a 3-hour clip. So if this goes, so the one I did the other day went for 3 hours 3 minutes, and I had to re-edit it, cut 3 minutes off and then render it. It took me 4 hours to just. So now I'm like, all right, we're gonna keep these less than 3 hours.
Nice.
I'll show you at the end, man. Fuck, like, wasting your time editing something.
Oh, it's
everything
I hate
do.
Editing.
The only reason I spend money on this is because I don't want to edit, and the only reason I spend money on that, it's $15 a month or something like that, is so I don't have to edit. Like, you should be focusing on your craft.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you were just about to say something.
Oh, yeah, like, part of the reason I got into it, and I think it's for some people doing comedy, like, whatever it is you do, you got to find it and think what it is. Because, like, I was pretty artistic. I was good at talking to people, and, like, I just wanted to be in front of people, I guess. So, like, at church, growing up, I remember, like, I'd bring my Wiggles guitar to church, and I'd get on the band, like, get on the stage with the band at church.
I grew up in church as well.
Yeah.
This drum kit, I used to play drums at church
every
Sunday.
Yeah,
because I wanted to be where everyone was.
Yeah.
I
remember,
attention.
like, I was just 3 years old, and I'd just get my Wiggles guitar and play it on stage with the band, and everyone was laughing, having a good time.
Yeah.
And after that, like, even from a young age, like, I was good at impressions and had that, like, talent or something in me. Where, like, I remember getting the girls, like, it's weird. You don't realise how it's, like, it's built in. But there was these, the girls that worked at the kinder. I was doing an impression of that little Mexican mouse from the Looney Tunes.
Yep.
Yeah, and all I was just saying was, Andare, arriba. Yeah. And then I'd just run around, and they thought it was, like, hilarious.
You got him.
Yeah, and they think it was hilarious. And they'd get, like, my parents to come, and they go, oh, I see what he does. And they're like, he does it all day. He doesn't stop.
Yeah.
And there was a time when I was a kid in high school. So I used to do shit like that, and a show that really left an impact on me was like, Whose Line Is It Anyway? And I'd like riff and do stuff like that at school, make kids laugh. But when I was like 12 or 13, there was a time where my mum, she got real sick. And because she had me young, just was an absolute workhorse, like she was a legend, and just didn't stop working. From then, raising a kid, had my little brother non-stop, working a job or 2 jobs. Same with my stepdad, just both of them absolutely working. But because of that, she worked herself to the bone. She got a chronic illness, was literally just like stuck in bed and couldn't get out of bed. And we were going from like a 2-parent income to a single-parent income.
That's hard.
And being at home, like it was tough. Like it was tough on everyone. And I would literally go to school every day, and I would think in my mind, like I remember having the shower in the morning going, all right, I'm going to make someone laugh today.
That's sick.
Yeah, and it would just be, that's all I cared about. My parents would ask me about how was this class, how's school, blah, blah, blah. And I just didn't care about that stuff. But I'd go to school, try to make someone laugh. And I remember on the way home, I'd quiz myself going, did I make anyone laugh today? And if I didn't, I would actually get really beat up and like hurt on the inside. And then like, crush and go, fuck, tomorrow, all right, you got to be better, you got to like, can't. And then I remember I was the middle school captain for Red House, and it's because I've had this lip piercing since I was like 14, so my mum gave it to me. And at this school, it was a cool school because the rest of the school sucked besides this one rule. It was an awful school, actually. It wasn't a cool school. Just remembering,
fucking backpedal.
Yeah. But they allowed students to wear the piercing if they had a clear one. So if you had an eyebrow or nose, as long as it was a clear see-through, they didn't care.
Yeah.
I did that. I got the role because they were like, we want you to be a role model.
Great.
To like an example, so all the other kids can follow you, do that, blah, blah, blah. So I was doing that. But I had to give speeches at assemblies and stuff like that, and house assemblies. And I remember there was one assembly, and because I was always too busy playing video games, talking to mates, or trying to chat up girls and failing, because that's all I cared about when you're 14.
What does that feel like?
And I didn't write my speech and forgot, and then came to school that Monday morning and like, oh fuck. And it was about we had the swimming carnival coming up, and then this whole thing was like, oh, make sure you wear bathers and appropriate bathers and do well, compete, blah blah blah. And I just improvised the whole fucking thing on the spot. Just said all the points I wanted. And then I didn't even realise. And I was like, oh, so we can blow our competition out of the water. And the joke, the pun, and then the whole audience just laughed. I'm like,
and you got everyone.
And everyone laughed. And I didn't even mean it. And I was kind of like shocked, going, what the fuck?
Yeah, right.
And then there was that feeling in there, and like I'm kind of annoyed at myself that I didn't start earlier, because I could have. There was the talent and the ability there, but I was just always too scared. I didn't want to fail, and like because my parents and teachers and family, they all saw this talent within me and this ability, and they were like, whatever you do, whatever you find out, like you're gonna do in life, you're gonna be amazing at it. You just need to find it and do it. And they were wanting me to go to uni and do all this and do the school and all of this stuff. And then there was a lot of conversations of going like, you're not fucking doing anything, just being a loser working retail. Like, what the fuck you doing? You don't want to be doing that. You got to be capable of more. Like in workplaces, managers having that, and they're like, oh yeah, you're really good, but you just don't apply yourself. Or it's the same in school, or you just coax by, you just get by. And then now it's like, I found what I'm good at. I'm naturally good at it. I know if I can work at it and get better. And yeah, I absolutely love it, and would not wish it any other way. And I've met so many amazing people along the way, and there's so many good people out there, like comedians give so much time and advice. Some of them doesn't matter, like some of the ones I've met that are like at the bottom just starting are really warm, receptive, and some of them, because they all know we're misfits, we all don't fit in, we're a bit wacky, we're a bit weird, we're all the kids that have been told we're too loud, too annoying, won't shut the fuck up, we're all weird, we're all gay, we're all fucking whatever. And like with them, there's no awkward, oh hi, how are you, just talk, just going like, what's your favourite Simpsons episode? And you're like, all right, yeah, cool. Just straight in like that, and it's just fascinating.
That's cool.
Yeah, and with it, there's the comedians, there's so many different types that you meet, and just from everyone from different backgrounds, different races, different religions, different political beliefs, different examples of life and everyone. And there'll be some people that you meet, they're on the dole, and nothing wrong with that if that's your situation, whatever. But that's all they do. They just live, eat, sleep, comedy. They just do gigs, grind, just do that, blah, blah, blah. And then there's other people that you meet, like well-established businessmen, doctors, lawyers, psychologists, just fucking everyone from few and far in between, just different backgrounds. And we're all doing the same thing, all hanging out, just trying to make people laugh and have fun. Cool. And there's, like, it's really introspective because it's really, like, it's almost spiritual. Like, you find a lot about yourself because you have to dig deep. And
I find it to be quite spiritual as well.
Yeah. And because it's something like with the pastor, like how I was mentioning with my like grandpa before, how he was, because Joe Rogan's talked about it before, where so I think there's two sides of what you were saying before, with how the fear is you're getting beheaded or shamed in front of the tribe or the town or whatever. But then there's also the other part where like you have the leader. So it can be like the religious leader, so a pastor or a minister or whoever's the head of like the Muslim, Jewish church, whatever. And then you can also have like the political leader, like who's the leader of the town or the pack or the tribe, and making the rules. We're going to be doing this, or the king. And with that, you have to get up on stage and say, "This is my idea. This is what's funny." Or and you're pretty much playing the audience because it's like an instrument. You're telling them, "Hey, this is funny. Let's do this."
Yep.
So yeah, there's so much to it. And then when you're a comedian as well, and you're just starting out, people just think you go up there and tell dick jokes, and your own social media marketer, your accountant, your own manager, your own booking agent.
It's very entrepreneurial.
Yeah, you're doing everything.
I don't think comics give themselves enough credit.
Nah.
You're doing it all. You're building a business from zero.
Yeah. I think this might be cocky, and I'll probably get screenshot and sent around to different group chats and things like that. But some of them, you got to be hungry for it, and you got to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
And then some of them, they take one step in, and they're like, "Oh, I'm cool here."
Yep.
There's guys that you've seen have been around for a while, and they haven't moved on from that, and they're still doing the same thing for 5 years. Whereas if you want to progress, because like I said, it's a rat race at the end of the day. Everyone wants to get the cheese. Everyone wants to be Chappelle, Carlin, Louis C.K., Richard Pryor, Robin Williams. Everyone wants to get there and be on that level. But to do that, you have to work hard and you have to push yourself and put yourself out there. So for myself, a lot of inspirations from like that punk and metal music that I listen to, and just reading books or hearing interviews from them saying how they, how they slept on floors. They would get a mate that could put a half back in the day in the 70s and 80s that could put together a half decent poster. They would go out, because I would go out in the city and I put my own posters up for my own shows and stick them up and spend a day in the weekend just putting them up just to advertise. Because if I'm not going to do it,
who the fuck else is going to do it?
Yeah, and how do I get seen? How do I get noticed? And I try other things to try and get noticed and traction online and along those lines. I'll go out and hand out my own flyers. And other comedians come up to me and see me doing it, and they're like, "Oh, dude, what? Didn't think of that," or "That's pretty cool that you're doing it." And you're like, "Yeah, if you want to get out there and get noticed,
it's attention."
Yeah, I have a saying, like, because the guys at work, they pick on me. They say, like, because I'll say jokes. Some of them are shit. They're not all amazing.
Yeah.
And then I'll laugh at it because I have a stupid sense of humor, and some of it, like, I just laugh at almost anything.
Yeah.
And they're like, "That wasn't funny, dude." And I'm like, well, if no one's going to be your fan, be your own number one.
I like that.
So just go out there, put yourself out there, and just, 'Cause if no one else is, someone has to. And, and with this as well, you got to have that, like, imposter syndrome, and, like, you have to have that confidence and that arrogance, but you have to have that, like, deep, cynical self-hatred as well. Yeah. So you have, I'm a god, I'm the greatest thing ever, I'm the next Jimmy Carr or Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock. And then you're like, I am nothing, I'm a piece of shit. Yeah. And like, I suck, I'm the worst thing.
It's very contradictory, isn't it?
Yeah.
Man, a lot of stuff is contradictory though.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you get into art is very contradictory. I'm trying to think of some clever examples now. I can't anymore. But it's very interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, or you look at like religious figures and stuff like that. Like a lot of these, you hear a lot of these pastors and preachers and stuff like that. Or what we were talking before, Catholic Church. Yeah. Like a lot of the pastors and stuff, they either have sex scandals or they're embezzling money or doing like shady shit, or they've lied about having cancer and stuff like that. But they're meant to be the holiest of the holies and the closest to God or whatever. And their word means everything. And they have a whole congregation following them. And then they're very righteous. But they're also really fucked up on the inside. Because we're all fucked up.
Yep.
But some people that have, everyone's quirky. There's all different types. There's people with narcissist disorders and the things that seems to
I think it's the pulling from both ends that really helps refine your product. I was just thinking about it in business terms. So I run my own business, and I have to both spend as little money as I can to stay in business, but also I'm very passionate about paying my staff correctly, paying my staff well to hold on to them. So it's pulling at both ends, meaning so spend no money means pay them nothing. But you really have to pay them really, really well so they hang around. But you have to spend no money. So it's a bit contradictory. And in the sense of like imposter syndrome. Yeah. And sheer arrogance. Like I'm the fucking risen god.
Yeah.
And fuck, I'm shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Really lands in the middle for like this authentic, humble, palatable dessert of comedy.
Yeah, and I think it's one of the few art forms where it's like that. And I don't know if I just clicked it, but I think I've thought of it before. But it's literally with drama or the acting and kind of the comedy, because comedy is a part of acting. It's the playwrights, like Shakespeare was
performance art.
Yeah, and that's the two masks. It's literally the two masks, the frowny and the happy.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah. So you got the happy one and then the one that's frowny, because that's
very
literally.
True. Yep.
So you've got the happy one going, I am a god, I'm the best thing since sliced bread, and then you're going like, yeah, I'm nothing, I'm worthless, I'm a piece of shit, I'm the worst thing ever.
There's actually a lot of that now that I think about it, like yin and yang.
Yeah, yeah.
And then like the Masonic tiles, some masonry has a lot of symbolism in it. I'm not a Freemason. Are you a Freemason?
No.
Okay, cool. We'll do the secret handshake later. But like
we do.
They have like the black and white tiles, which is like symbolic of like dark and light, and like then Star Wars, you've got like the dark side and the like. There's so much symbolism
the Jedi
of like
and the Sith.
and it's like too much like Jedi is a fuck up, and too much like it's a balance.
Yeah.
It's a balance in the Force. It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you go.
You go.
I didn't have anything. But yeah.
I was gonna say, do you have anything?
No. Yeah. No. Oh yeah, actually, yeah. And with that tied on, there's because I think Bill Burr, even Louis has a story like this, because I listened to their podcast, and like I love Bill Burr as well.
Yeah.
He was talking about how he sold out Madison Square Garden or something, and then just afterwards he just went to the old school Comedy Cellar in New York.
I love that shit.
Yeah, yeah, and then he went there, and then they were like, nah, and he's like, I just sold out fucking Madison Square Garden, and they're like, nah, sorry, we're full, and you're like, what?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, and you just, it's the only art form, because if it was like a bar, and then, or like maybe a smaller rock venue or something, and then say, I don't know, like, I'm trying to think of a band that's massive. Say like the Foo Fighters or Metallica or something sold out the stadium.
Yep.
And then like Kirk Hammett or Dave Grohl from the band wanted to go down to a local bar and go like, oh mate, can I just play a song? I'll go on the drums, like I'll shred some guitar.
They give
everyone
you
would
the
be like,
keys to the bar.
Yeah, they're like, fuck
it's now your bar.
And they'd all be like, yeah, dude, take it. Yeah, and then it's but there's probably other times where I think Louis or even Bill Burr, they said there was another time where that happened and they did it. Crushed at the stadium.
Yep.
Ate shit and bombed.
Yeah. Wow.
Where
they probably had
their
their beat. Like that probably felt good.
Yeah. And then, but like, because they all try new shit.
Yeah.
And stuff.
Interesting. So, damn it! It was on the tip of my tongue. Have you seen Chappelle's new special?
Yeah.
Good, isn't it?
Yeah, I liked it. Yeah, it was good.
It
was better than some of his more recent ones.
Agreed. That opening joke is fucking sensational.
Yeah, and like Gervais's was really good as well. Some people didn't like it. Yeah, I really liked that one as well. And because
he's got a funny thing he does. He just turns up. Have you heard of the one about Joe Rogan where he did I think it was the store or something like that, and everyone was leaving, they were packing up. Mustn't have been the store. I think it was Denver, somewhere in Denver. And Rogan was on stage, and he went to the green room, and Chappelle was in there, and he's like, "Do you want to do half an hour?" And he's like, "Should I? Nah, I'm alright." And like everyone was leaving, and then Joe like goes back on stage and like, "Everyone, come back! Chappelle's here." And then he just did 2 hours. 2 hours. And he literally wasn't even there to do anything. He was just like there to see Joe. Isn't that crazy? But he does a lot of that, where he won't book stuff, he'll just like turn up.
I've heard of him just start busking like in parks in Seattle, or he'll just
Isn't that interesting?
like because I think because he lived in Africa for a bit,
Yeah.
and apparently he'd come back and he had like a van or whatever, and like if he was getting a bit low on cash or whatever, he'd do like a few theaters or something like that.
Yeah.
Just get paid, and he would literally just like a week before just go like, oh, is this venue free? And he's like, oh yeah, I'll book it, and then 3 nights sold out.
Have you ever busked?
No, I haven't. I've thought of doing
Have you thought of it?
Yeah.
I've thought of doing it because it's hard to get to the city.
Yeah, and yeah, the only thing is you got to be clean. Where a lot of my stuff
Yes.
isn't clean.
Yeah.
So like, I've got some stuff that could like I need a 15-minute clean. So,
Sure. Yep.
Yeah, which I'd be working on. But
if you had 15 clean minutes, would you do it?
yeah, fuck yeah,
okay.
dude. And because I've worked out the math, because 1, you'd get paid. 2, you could do I don't know how many.
Didn't
sets
even
you could
think
do
of
it.
the pay.
You could because if people are throwing money, if you're decent.
Didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I also thought is you can do multiple 15-minute sets in a night. So you do 15, take 15 off, come back 15 minutes later, or maybe move up the street on South Bank or behind Flinders. Or
I'm
something
thinking
like that.
Frankston.
Oh, I wouldn't do
Just the
Frank.
foreshore.
I
No?
wouldn't do
Shit.
not enough people, I don't think. And then there's a lot of weirdos here. Whereas I was thinking I was going to do
Yeah.
it in the city,
Yeah. Okay.
South Bank, and then people go on a Crown, something along there, because heaps of people bust there. I think here, like, music does all right.
Do
but-
many people do stand up on? I've never seen
I've
stand up.
seen one.
Well, that could be a whole fucking thing on TikTok.
Yeah,
If you
I've
filmed
looked
it,
it. I've looked it up. So there's a few people that do it overseas, and it's a handful. So yeah, and it's a thing where you could learn, like you would accelerate so quick because you're literally grabbing people off the street,
Yeah,
and get them
it's-
to gather around,
yeah.
and all you'd need is just like a speaker and a box, and it'd be fucking hard.
Yep.
It would be difficult,
Mm.
but if you can do it and you can do it well, you would smash it. And there'd be some like turbulence, like you'd be learning and fumbling and doing stuff like that. But I have thought of it, and because you could accelerate so quick because you could be doing
Imagine just doing
6
crowd work.
Yeah,
on a
you could-
Tuesday morning,
I was thinking of doing it at night.
8:45 night, more
Yeah,
like
yeah.
5:30. Everyone leaving the office.
Yeah, but I was thinking doing it Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then say everyone's on the way to Crown, they're out on a date, they'd go, oh, we'll watch this guy for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Then if they like it, if they got some notes. And I was even thinking, because if people have won at the like fucking casino and they've got a bit of coin and then they're absolutely
Mhm,
shit-faced and go like,
mhm.
oh, I just won
Yeah.
10 grand, mate. Here's
Yeah.
a couple hundred. It's
Yeah.
just like shit like that.
Yeah.
But you'd think you could do 6 15-minute sets in a night.
Yeah.
Where the fuck else
Where are
can
you
you do
gonna
that?
get that? You're not gonna get it. No.
Yeah, and you're literally having to grasp the attention of everyone else.
It's gonna push you, isn't it?
Yeah, and you have to learn. You have to be
Yeah.
quick. You have to deal with stuff. You're going to have to deal with those fire things going off or like helicopters
Yeah.
flying over by,
Yeah.
kids crying. And then as it gets later, I was thinking then you can get more edgy and dark and then
True.
bring that more adult stuff out.
Yeah.
And then but work on. And everyone needs
Can
a
you
clean
imagine
set.
that? If they go in at 7 o'clock for dinner and they come out at 10, I don't know how long people
Yeah,
eat
yeah.
dinner for. I eat dinner for 20. I go to a restaurant, I'm out in 20 minutes.
Yeah,
It's hysterical. Anyway, 10:30 they leave and you're doing edgy shit. So you walk in and it's like the appetizer and they walk out and it's like, and then she fucking...
Yeah. So I have thought about it. That's a plan for me this year as well.
That's interesting.
And then, like, so what some of them do, like, if you're good and you shit up, because, like, Melbourne, we're so lucky. Like, I love this city. Like, it's one of the best cities in the world for stand-up, because there's, like, almost a gig every night.
Yeah.
Most nights there's, like, at least multiple.
Yeah.
So there's some of the guys that have done the circuit for so long. They do 2 to 3 a night. Yeah. And, like, the arts here are great, so music's great. Like, street performers are great. I went and watched one of my friends, Dan Rosario, Dan Jello on Instagram.
Yep.
I went and watched his special taping at Comedy Republic the other day, last Saturday, and I was walking out, and I'd never seen anything like this before, and I think because it was such an awesome mix, and because he just had so much enthusiasm and passion behind what he was doing. There was this Japanese guy playing blues music, and he's playing Japanese blues, so he's singing blues songs.
In Japanese?
Yeah. Some of them were in Japanese, and he's doing like blues covers as well.
Oh, wow.
And he was just so intense, and he's just absolutely shredding on the guitar with the slide, and then harmonica, just going fucking nuts. And he's just going like, everybody, sing with me, right now. Saki, saki. Saki, saki. Saki, saki.
Oh,
And it was
wow.
just fucking awesome.
And everyone's going
Yeah,
off.
he had this whole
Yeah.
crowd behind him. And because you're so just, he was fucking awesome. Was there was so much joy. Everyone was singing along, and like what was great as well is he had some signs with him. So if you can do that, and then have a QR code to like follow your socials, and then he even had one because not many people carry cash nowadays.
A square?
Yeah, it was another QR code just saying like tip me, so it was just straight
Cash
here.
app.
Yeah, something like that, PayPal or whatever.
Yep.
But yeah, and that was awesome. And I just sat and watched him for 15 minutes, and it was great.
That's great.
And there was people dancing, just vibing. It was just on the corner of Burke Street. It was great.
Yeah. No, it's something I'm definitely considering doing. I was thinking foreshore, but now that you say it, I've completely flipped that idea. The reason I was thinking foreshore is anytime I leave this house, I'm leaving my wife with our son, and she has to fucking clean up vomit and shitty ass, and like, so I feel real intense level of guilt leaving.
Yeah,
because I'm not just leaving, I'm leaving her with twice as much work, and I'm gone all day long at work, and she's here so I do have the guilt. So now I'm trying to like hack. How do I like? Because when I went to Sellers, I was gone 4 hours and did 5 minutes. 4 hours for 5 minutes. And I'm like, how do I hack this thing? That sounds good, though. It sounds like a fucking terrible way to learn still. Like, second time, you're just on Burke Street. But...
yeah, with me a year in, I think I'd be alright.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just need the 15 minutes clean. That's what I'm working on. So I think that's a goal for me this year. That's what I'm going to try to do. I hope no one else hears that and steals the idea. But yeah, just work on crowd work. The crowd work would be good, and you just keep going.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good idea. But yeah, I get what you mean. Like the way to get seen and then get booked, it sucks. It's a like a long slog first.
Yep.
So you have to meet people, get seen, introduce yourself to room
it's like
runners.
Anything.
Yeah, and because you got to be on that grind, and then it's bullshit, and I fucking hate it too, because there's so many people that are disrespectful. And to be honest, this is probably me starting beef, but I'm the problem child, baby. It's what I do. I say what I want and do what I want. I don't give a fuck. So there's these people out there, some of them might be room runners or whatever, and then there's other people that are just in the group, and they'll just show up to gigs, the sign up ones, and just go... and then there'll be all these people that arrived on time, the list was randomised, and they're going like, oh, I'm cutting here because I want to.
That's exactly what happened to me. I was I was third on the list, and then I ended up being about 22nd.
Yeah, and I've seen people that are regulars in the Comics Lounge who are lovely, who'll give you more of the time of day, more polite, and they'll just rock up late, and they'll go like, oh yeah, I'm last. I'll be here till 11:30, 12. Yeah. But these guys come in and cut and join in. But you've got to be around to kind of go through that and earn your stripes then get around.
I think that's part of it. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm not like I'm entitled to third because I was here. I think you're absolutely right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Crucible by fire.
And I don't agree with it, but it's
trial by fire, sorry.
It's what happens.
Yeah. Well, it's meritocracy. At the end of the day, if they're going to get there and they're going to get the laughs, they should be on the stage. No? You don't reckon?
That's if they get the laughs.
Yeah, I suppose there is a bit of that. I must admit, there were some people cutting in front of me, and I was like, that's your fucking joke, Alan? You were talking earlier. You've been doing this 3 years?
Yeah, some of them. But, like, it always doesn't land. I've bombed multiple times. It happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, it is tough, but, yeah, you got to just get established. And it might take you 2 to 3 months to do that. So you got to get in and... do it, and then once you're seen and room runners see you a bit, and then so and then you get booked.
No, that's cool. Is there anything else you wanted to bring up?
No, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah,
cool. I knew that was gonna happen.
Hi.
What's going on? We're literally just finishing. Can you give me 1 minute? Cool, thanks. Is there anything you want to plug? Where can we go and see you?
Yeah. So everything on socials, Caleb Hyland. So KAILEB HYLAND. Check out my new series on the socials called Only Dares. I have my solo show on the 18th or 17th of Feb at Club Voltaire. You can find it on the socials, and the 7th of March at Dirty Secrets Comedy. Problem Child, my hour comedy show. Yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be fun. There's a bit of everything, storytelling, one-liners, just jokes, and some dark, heavy shit. So yeah, it should be fun. Check it out.
Fuck yeah, cool. Awesome. That's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. It's been episode 23, maybe, I think. Anyway, cool. Thanks, guys. See ya. Cool, man. That was good.
Yeah, it was good.
Bye.